seems like it keeps getting ready to do that, and then it pulls back. All right, let me give me one sec. All right, so just now, guys, just now I just re-entered. Let me
I
go.
think I think that bad boy wants to go into the 70s. That's what that is.
Which one we talking about? Bitcoin, yeah.
Bitcoin. It wants to go into that area that we talked about in the past, into them sevens.
It could. It certainly could. There's a couple things that are showing up on the charts that could make that a possibility.
Go on their name.
That's the one.
Guys, hold on. So let me just turn this down. You guys see my screen okay? All right. So this is the problem right here, is this overall downward trending channel. This is XRP, by the way. And we do have an overall downward trending channel here. It just goes all the way back to when we were up here at $2. It actually goes back much further than that. If I go to a higher time frame, the actual overall channel is all the way back up to the high here of $3.66. And we've been in this downward trending channel now since then, which is July of 2025. And we hit the top and we keep coming down the bottom. Now, this one back here was October 10th when we had a really long wick down. We pulled right back up into it and stayed above this channel line. And we kind of stayed close to the middle and underneath all from here to all the way to about here when we finally broke out of the center line. The center line is this blue dotted line right here going down the middle. And as you can see, that center line a lot of times is resistance. Let me just pull this back so you can see it. We have resistance and resistance and resistance and support on the center line, and then resistance and support, resistance, support, resistance, support. So the center line there is a purpose for that. And we did come down. This is the most recent pump back up to the top right here, $2.40. That was back on January 5th. And then we just slowly been coming back down. And then so, all right, Ray, mute yourself. I'm gonna mute you, buddy. You got an echo reverb going on there. So as you can see, we are now bouncing on the center line. And I will tell you this, a lot of times, the big breakout that we all want happens after we come to the bottom, the floor, hit the top, and then retest the center line. That usually is what happens first before a big breakout. Now, I'm not saying this is it. We could go all the way back down to the bottom of this channel, and we could continue in this downward trend for a little while until things finally happen. But this grayed out area here, this blued out area here, is technically the floor. There were a couple of times where we wicked below it in the last year. Let me zoom out and show you. Very few. A lot of times we wick down to the bottom, we come back up, hit the middle here, come down to the bottom, wick back up, hit the middle, went way below the bottom here, all the way down to $1.20 or so, wicked right back up and came back into this channel. But we hit the bottom, and we hit the bottom just now on that wick. So is it a triple bottom, double bottom? Is it ready to bounce out? As soon as this wick just happened, I just entered right here at $1.80, whatever it was, $1.87 with a smaller amount that I normally do. And yeah, technically I'm in profit right now, but doesn't mean it can't just bounce a little bit and come back down further. So I take that risk when I do that, because I know that sometimes we are just retesting once and then we're out like this, retesting once and we're out. But even like this, coming in at the bottom and then finally climbing out. I didn't give a signal in the group because it just happened right when I was going live on this call just now when that wick happened. And I'm on the daily, but let's go down to the 10-minute. That was the wick. And we brought it went way below, down to $1.83. It even went below this upward trending on the lower time frame. It's not really upward trending now. But we're still in this. This is the local downward channel. This is the local, when I say local, I mean the most recent one, but it's inside this big grayed out one that's trending down as well. So we would have to break out of this. That's why I said we need to hold above $1.94 in the chat. If you aren't already in long on the signal from yesterday, this might be the next best entry if we get above the $1.94 and hold it as support. Well, we wicked above it right here. This is the line I was talking about, $1.94. We wicked above it and just fell right back. We didn't hold above it really. I mean, we did for a second. Some of you might have got in right here on this bounce because we hit it, went above it, and then bounced on it. And we actually even made a higher high right here. Normally that would be an entry, right? That would be holding support, but it fell right back down, fell below, fell below, fell below. It's like stair stepping its way back down to where it started from down here just, yesterday or this morning. So all this has happened in a very small period of time. This is a long wick and pullback to me that, usually is followed by climb back up. But what we really need to do is break this downward trending resistance. And, I was expecting if we held above this 194, we would climb out, but we would still have this overall downward trending resistance to hit up here somewhere in the, 215 to 220 zone, depending on when we got up there. And that is this whole thing. The fact that we kind of bounced on the center line here, though, is kind of important because I will show you many times, and I have shown the group many times, when we have done just that. This is Bitcoin. Bitcoin broke out of its little downward trending channel, started to climb this morning, and then fell right back down to that line. What is this line? This is just a recent upward trending resistance going back a little bit. I don't know how far I can take this back. It's probably, all the way, all the way to the bear market bottom right there. That's the line we really don't want to cross, guys. And the gentleman was speaking earlier about dropping down to the 70s. This is do or die territory. I did say over the last couple weeks, month, that we bounce here, we break out of this downward channel. We have another potential run for it to get up above this zone here, which is the 100 to 105 area. And if we can't, but I did expect to hit it. I mean, we bounced right at 98, but I expect to get in here and maybe get up to equal to this side over here. But it hasn't yet, but that doesn't mean it won't. It could certainly wind into this and slowly come back up. But if we fall now below this, which we could do, I mean, there's some things happening, but if we do this and we come up here like this and then fall, I have this line here for that reason, because that's probably where we would come down to. And that's not a good, I mean, but first, this would be the major support that we would be looking at, which is the previous high over here, 68K, 73.4 right here. We did wick down to it right here at 74.5 and bounced. That was back in April of last year. And that was the last time we had a big falling wedge like this. We had a double top, 108, 109. We had a falling wedge, and we broke to the upside. Bullish flag, falling wedge, break to the upside. Double top, 124, 120, really a triple top, 123, 124, 126. Falling wedge, very similar. In fact, I could take this over here and do it very similar. One wick down, pow, break out, and then like very similar, wick down, break out, pump out. Let's look at, let's take a parallel channel here. Let's just look at this bull flag right here. From back when the Bitcoin ETFs were announced, right here. We did this downward trending bullish flag for 280 days. But this is what I was talking about. We get a wick down, retest previous resistance, touch it, break through everything, touch it, and wick back up. We come all the way back up to the top, and then we come down to the center line. That blue line right there. We bounce on it a couple times, and that's right. That's usually what happens before a breakout, where we come down to the center line. Does it always happen? No, but a lot of times. Wicked all the way down, comes up to the top, hits the center line, and breaks out. That's what I was trying to give you the example and to show you what's going on with XRP. XRP is coming down to the center line right now. It's not holding at the moment. Well, it does. It's still right on it. Like if we really zoom in, it's this blue line right here. I mean, it's hitting it right on the nose. It did wick below it all the way to the floor, came right back above, and it's kind of bouncing on that center line right now. This just could be a continuation of what we just saw, this downward trend, all the way back down to the floor. Certainly possible. Not putting anything behind anything against the possibility of anything at this point, because we got all kinds of crazy stuff going on around the world right now. We got Trump trying to take control of Greenland, and we got leaders from around the world trying to argue against that. We got Russia and China both wanting Greenland, which we can't allow. This is not Trump being stupid or ridiculous. This is like a strategic thing that I think it's been talked about and are attempted to do many times throughout history. Trump's offering billions and billions and billions of dollars to Denmark for the purchase, and I think up to $100,000 per resident. And nothing would change on their end except for they would have U.S. protection. But the Greenlandians, proud people that they are, may not want it. Some of them, but I think that
that's him trying to break up the European nation, which is the Parliament breaking them all up and destroying NATO because there's no room for it. It's things that's been going on for so long that need to be changed, and Greenland is just in the forefront.
Yeah, and Greenland is more closer to and connected to North America than all of those other European countries. It would make sense, but that would break up, and it probably will happen, guys. It will probably happen because it's probably all part of the plan, and the whole Trump is possibly just the puppet or the latest person to allow to make it happen. And it's not to just the benefit of the U.S. A lot of people think it's just to protect the U.S. It would separate the world in different regions rather than you got the European Union, you got the British Empire, you got the U.S. But the U.S. really, if I pull up a map, let me just do that real quick, because this is kind of what's causing some of the turmoil in the markets right now. The stock market's crashing too, from what I understand. Don't have that right in front of me at the moment.
I think he hit the stage at 8:30 this morning.
Yeah, that's why there's a lot going on here, guys. Trump's talking in Davos right now, and in the World Economic Forum, and you got a lot of leaders that are giving. I mean, here's some weird things. You got leaders around the world giving Trump's crowns and Nobel Peace Prizes, and literally forfeiting their Nobel Peace Prize to give to Trump for some of the things he's doing. Then you got other leaders in different countries that are trying to push back on all this. And you even got leaders in our own country sticking up for European countries, not even their own country, which is absurd. But if Trump gets control, I mean, if the US gets control, not Trump, we got Venezuela and Colombia down here. We got this whole region with all of Central America, the United States, all of North America, and Alaska and Greenland. That's the play to try to get this whole thing pretty much under the Americas, under US jurisdiction. So, I mean, obviously Greenland is more connected to us than Denmark over here. Where's Denmark? But it's a military play as well. So you got Russian ships and Chinese ships up in here. You got Russian ships over here. You got, I think this has been going on for decades and decades trying to get Greenland, but no one ever really took it seriously until Trump started really pushing the issue. So how does it affect us? Well, it affects the financial markets because anytime there's turmoil and anytime there's fear, the markets tend to react. And Trump speaking a lot of times dumps the market. Did he just start speaking? I don't know what the time frames are. Who's aware of what's going on?
And Russia also said that if we advance and we push towards certain areas, that they'll bomb Europe and Germany.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Russia actually said that. And I don't think Putin actually would ever do anything like that. He's not stupid. I mean,
Well, it was actually printed up in the paper and everything. So it's actually there. You Google it. It came up on the papers, and it came from directly from one of his top head people. So it was, and then Iran also made a comment yesterday. Looked that one up on all the papers that they heard that Trump, as well as other countries, heard that they were going to move in on him to remove him. So he said if the
Yeah.
U.S. does that they were going to burn the entire U.S.
Yeah. Well,
So again, I think that's affecting everything.
I mean,
all those
people get
things.
scared when they hear those things and read those headlines. And that's the whole point. It's called propaganda, but that never happens. As long as I'm alive, Putin, Russia, the Kremlin, China, Korea, they've been saying these things forever. They don't ever do it, but it's all to create fear and turmoil so that the powers that be. By the way, meanwhile, Trump's on the phone with Putin. They're hanging out together. They're golfing. He's when he goes to these countries, he meets them. They give them gifts. They give each other gifts. They're having dinner together. It's like what's really happening behind the scenes is not what the papers or Google or anybody will tell you. Google, first of all, let me just say, don't believe what you read in the mainstream newspapers, Google, or any CNBC, CNN, or any of these networks, even Fox. It's like, it's all propaganda. It's all bullshit to create confusion and fear. What's actually happening now, here's Trump. Trump's over in Davos right now, hanging out with the world leaders of the Economic Forum. Who are these people in the Economic Forum? Who are these people that wear like costumes that look like they are, running Darth Vader's ship, Star Wars?
He already spoke this morning, and he spoke very highly of Larry Fink, that they need to get together and embrace him, and because he's pretty much owns everything around the world. So
Meanwhile,
You got BlackRock. You got BlackRock. You got you guys would be surprised at who's a member of the World Economic Forum, who's on the council, who's on the board of directors. I mean, XRP Ripple CEO Brad Garland, he's on the board. I mean, so what? Trump, I think, is on the board. I mean, they're all part of it. It's like it's kind of hard to see what's really happening because it's
Because
what you want to happen. It's what you believe. Because over here in the United States, we are conditioned to be told that there's left and right. There's Republican, there's Democrat. You got to pick a side, and then they push the sides against each other. But what happens is these are two sides of the same bird, and it's all by design. Now, I'm not saying Trump's not better than Biden or Trump. Trump's evil or he's trying to do something against what he's saying. I think Trump is exposing the evil. I think Trump is really doing a lot of things out there that most people that we've never seen happen. Not in my lifetime. I've lived through, this is my 11th president, and I've never seen anything like this. So interesting times, but at the same time, does he have interests? But he's not stupid. He's a businessman. He's not the kind like the last few presidents where they don't even want to meet with Putin. They don't even want to meet with Kim Jong-un. They don't even want to meet with the North Korea's president because they want to keep that mystique and that enemy line there so that they can use whatever propaganda they want against them. Trump, no, I'll go meet you. I'll shake hands with you. I'll sit down with you. Let's have a talk and see what we can work out. Before you know it, they're buddies, and all of a sudden, all the wars are, the tension is now eased, and now tension is rising again. But that's because we have this Greenland thing. We have all of this is also just simultaneously happening, ironically, with the big shift that is possibly getting ready to happen. So what better way to switch over to a financial, a digital currency and a digital new world order. I hate that word. I hate that phrase rather, but it is technically what they're talking about.
I'm glad you got to the meat and potatoes because that's what it is.
Yeah.
This is distractions so they can switch the grid and have everybody under the same threat.
Yeah, and it's probably going to happen, and there's not much we can do about it. The question is are we going to be, scored by our behavior? Are we going to have our money turned off? Is it going to be a government-controlled CBDC, or is it going to be just business as usual? It's just that the networks are going to switch over to something that's easier to transact. Is there some nefarious evil plot behind it to reduce the population, kill off everybody, and control all the money? I mean, what good is all the money in the world if you're the only one left? If they reduce the population just down to the billionaires and all the pretty people, which that's not even how it works. So it's like you gotta, what is the real end game? And trust me, I'm open-minded to hear it all. I'm open-minded to all of that. Is there population control? Do they wish that there was less population? They've said it live on the World Economic Forum. They've said it on the stage. Yes, that's what they want. Does that mean over the next 20 years they're going to limit the amount of people giving birth? Maybe that's why they like abortions, and maybe that's why they want to provide all of these services for women in other countries, third world countries, to make them sterile with the vaccines and all these things. This is happening. That does happen. This is not conspiracy theory. It is happening. Crazy things are happening around the world.
I heard a thing about China because a long time ago they put a quota on people where they can only have like one kid.
Oh yeah.
And now it's time where they can't sustain their population because, and the same with Japan. In Japan, like 70 to 80%, I think, of the population is over 60, and so it's going to
the one child.
Same thing with China. It's going to they say it's going to like half, like in 15 years or something. China is supposed to be like half the size.
That's why there's no such thing as 5 billion or 6 billion Chinese people, because they used to have the cap. So they lie about their numbers too.
Oh yeah. There's probably, guys, how many of you think there's over 1 billion people in China? That's what you've been taught for your whole life. There's probably the same amount as in the United States. There's 1 billion people missing. This is what no one talks about. There's 1 billion people missing.
They got all those ghost cities over there.
From the consensus, yes. So the population is probably similar to US, and it's going to get worse because of that one-child rule that they had for decades. And they screwed themselves, and they're not doing as good as people think. I mean, everybody's worried about China taking over the world. It ain't going to happen. Russia can't do it. Everybody's worried about China and Russia, but okay, listen, we could be at, or the US could literally be at war with the world and still win. If you want to count, if you want to look at the military capabilities, but I don't think that's going to happen either, because they all need each other. We can't bomb each other into smithereens. Could we physically do that? Yes. But is that really going to happen? No, because everybody has their interest. Everybody has their bribe. Everybody has their give and take.
The only thing that threatens us is the brick, and that's what we're going after.
Brick is
to
no
make sure.
threat whatsoever. Zero threat. This is another thing. A lot of people worry about the bricks. Okay, so we got seven, eight communist dictator countries all getting together. Do you think all of the rest of the nations around the world are going to join with them?
Well, that's why we went and took the oil in Venezuela, because they were going to try to pay the oil with the brick, and Trump administration said, "Oh hell no, we can't take the dollar out of there; it'll break us real quick." So we went and got that oil.
Name the countries involved. I mean, we got Iraq, you got Iran, you got Venezuela, who we just removed their leader in overnight, in the middle of the night, without any problems at all. I mean, the BRICS. I mean, that's like. I think it's like, I don't know, Maryland trying to take over the U.S. currency and come up with their own. It's like a tiny little flea on a dog that's causing some problems. But the media will make it sound like, oh my God, the BRIC, they're pulling out of U.S. This is going to change everything. We're going to go down. The BRICS is, I mean, like no threat. Like Iran has threatened to nuke Israel. We go in there and we set Iran back 30 years in 5 minutes. It's just like that. That just happened a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago. Some of you may not even know that it happened, but we literally went in and took out most of Iran's capabilities that took them decades to build. And so
they said there's only going to be 7 kingdoms.
Well, you mean the Bible? You're talking religious stuff. The Bible, yeah, but
Yeah, but it's starting to happen, because we're going to take Venezuela, we're going to take Greenland, and that's going to be our kingdom, and Russia's going to be their kingdom, and China's going to be a kingdom, and
well, yeah, that could be. But if you look at the colors behind that, if you look at the colors of the flags, even in the Bible, it was like green, red, and blue, green, red, black, and white, or something like that were the colors. And all the flags that are that color are pretty much all the BRICS nations. It's pretty much
green.
All
yeah,
the evil
green,
countries,
red,
all the
black
Islam.
is Muslim, I think.
Say that again.
I think it's green,
Black, white, and red. Yeah.
I think it's Muslim countries.
Yeah, it's all the Muslim countries. Well, all the Tehran. So if you want to get biblical, then yeah, who knows? I mean, it's been end times for not only our lifetimes, but hundreds, thousands of years. It's been the end times.
Politics are like sports, Nico. There are players that hate each other, but you get in front of the cameras, they talk shit about each other. When the game is over, they go have dinner and have a good time.
That's right.
It's a sport. Everybody has an agenda. The U.S. has an agenda. We want to be number one. There's no different with Russia or China or the rest of them. Everybody's trying to get ahead. We're trying to get ahead here. Doesn't mean that we don't like our fellow citizens. We're trying to get ahead. They're the same. And Putin isn't gonna, chop his head off despite his nose. They're going to go out, blow V8. They're going to say big shit, and then they're going to have dinner, and they'll work out their differences. Trump is doing it as a businessman. It's all about negotiation. He doesn't go in and ask for the smallest amount that he can get. He's asking for the whole damn world, and that's my bottom line. And then you negotiate from there. Same thing Asian countries have done with the shitty presidents we've had in the past. They go out and say, we want everything. You get nothing. And they say, okay, well, holy hell, that worked. But then if they come back and say, okay, we'll give you 90% and we'll take 10, like, we still won. It's the same thing.
Look, I don't agree with everything that the U.S. does, but I like to be on the winning team. So I'm in America.
Well, all you got to do is travel around the world, guys, and you'll see that there's no place like the U.S. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some pretty beautiful countries out there, and there's beautiful, cities. There's super clean cities in Japan where you don't even find, garbage or even a speck of dust anywhere. There's literally public workers out there cleaning and scrubbing rails and sidewalks everywhere. But then you go to certain areas and it's an atrocity. It's like the slums of, Chicago. It's the worst thing you've ever seen. Then you, just like everywhere here in Florida, you got you go down to South Beach, you go down to Palm Beach, Florida, and you got homeless people sleeping up against Rolls Royces on the side of the street. So it's like the disparity is ridiculous. But that's the same way everywhere. So, but
Criminals would rather be in jail here than anywhere in the world.
Yeah, that's true. But you don't see leaders having fights. You don't see leaders fighting each other. You don't see the Vatican, the Pope, the Greek Orthodox Pope, the Muslim leaders, the Islamic leaders, the Hindu leaders, the Buddhist monks. You don't see all of them fighting each other. It's religion creates a lot of wars and people fight and kill each other over it, but not the people at the top. They don't fight each other.
Oh no, they got the little minions that sign up like in the US over here to be serve the services and all that, and then they get mad when they got to go to war.
Yeah, it's us. It's the masses. We're arguing with each other on internet, online, where someone posts something controversial and people will fight for days in the comments. But the people posting it are just trying to get clicks. It's like everybody's being tricked and no one even really realizes it. You ever see those posts? This is what makes me laugh the most. You ever see those posts where it says, it shows a picture of a celebrity, but in the comment, it says a different person's name. It'll show a picture of Brad Pitt, but it'll say, George Clooney is looking a little rough these days. And then there's 100 comments. That's not Brad Pitt. That's George Clooney. That's not Brad. You're an idiot. That's George Clooney. If you can't tell the difference between George Clooney and Brad, the guy who posted that knows that. What is he doing? He's getting so much engagement so that what happens is a bunch of people comment and argue, and they're telling him he's stupid, but they don't realize how stupid they are for not knowing that he's doing that intentionally to get the engagement so that his post can go viral, so that more people see his post. That's called clickbait, right? Clickbait. So it happens all the time now, and people, the masses, are just falling for it every time. And we do it in the news. A woman will walk up with a microphone at a protest, anti-ICE protest, and she'll walk up and ask the girl something about Trump, and Trump's a racist. Can you name one thing that Trump ever said that was racist? No, I'm not. This is not in defense of Trump or anything. It's just amazing how little people actually know. Well, what are you talking about? He says everything he says is racist. Can you name one thing? Well, I can't name off the top of my head, but they talk about it on the news every day. Can you pull up one article on the news where he said something racist? And then the girl's trying to, she can't find it. And then, well, everybody here agrees that he's racist. Everybody here agrees? Does everybody? And the one with the microphone looks around, says, everybody agrees? No. And she goes, well, why do you think everybody here? Well, I know all these people. You know all these people? Does anybody here know this girl? That 20 people said no. So it's like, people are just delusional. They're in there. They believe something they saw on The View, for instance, or some news network, and then they just run with it and they believe it no matter what. And
that's why I say the free mind and the most successful mind is the mind that has no kids, no mother, no father, who is just here and is not played into the game, has no emotions on anything, doesn't want anything, just doesn't care about material things, has nothing to live for, just says, hey, I'm just here. I'm no longer playing their game anymore, because they got to get you to care about something for you to be in that game.
Yep. BA says, broad is the way of the vast majority of people travel unto their own destruction, which all first begins with what each one of us is responding to and communicating about. Yeah. Also, social media companies weigh negative reactions higher than positive ones. Yes, it's all meant for conflict, because if we keep the masses in confusion and fear, now this sounds evil, and it probably is. If we keep everyone in confusion and fear, then only a few people. We don't, those aren't the few people that break out of that matrix, the few people that become billionaires, the few people that focus on what they're doing and get shit done. Those are the ones that escape it all. But the masses that get totally wrapped up in the fear and get totally debate. I mean, what's the word? Totally debilitated because they can't do anything because because the world is falling apart. And hey, you want to come to the party tonight? No, I'm not feeling good. With all the shit in the world, how can you even go out and have fun? There's so many people like that. With all the stuff going on in the world, how can you even go and enjoy yourself? Guys, the only reason you know about all this shit in the world that's happening is because of social media, because everybody's got a camera, everybody's posting from everywhere around the world, and we're having what's called information overload. The human brain is not meant for all of this information. You're not meant to know more than what's going on around you at any given time. And now we're scrolling and seeing a million stories in 5 minutes, and our brain is so rattled and so confused and so, untrusting. And is this AI? I don't know. Is this real? That's not real. And everybody's just all day long spending hours and hours of their time arguing about what's real, what's not real. Oh, I heard about that. No, that's not true. I don't believe that. And it's all just, and what are you doing with your life? What are you giving? What are you getting done? What are you accomplishing? Nobody's focusing on anything anymore. And I think that is what they really want, because that keeps people in a state of, unproductivity, which allows the government to do things and allows the powerful people to do things to move chess players to control vast parts of the world. And right from under your feet, laws change without you even being aware of, because you're not paying attention to all that. It's a wag the dog situation. Look over here while we do this over here. And so, of course, that's why I always say that your first responsibility and your first thing should be to try to get rich, because without you being able to control your own finances, someone else will be controlling you. And unfortunately, we live in that age. Now, some people say, well, money doesn't mean everything. That's what usually people say when they've resigned to the fact that they either don't have the willpower or the stick-to-itiveness or the desire to push anymore. They're just done. They're just tired. They're fed up. This world is fucked up, excuse my language, and I'm just not playing anymore. I just want to go live in a cabin in the woods, and that's why you see those posts. You ever see those posts? It's a cabin in the woods. How many of you could live here for a year with no cell phone for $100,000? You ever see those dumb posts? Well, and a million people engage with that, because that's the fantasy, is that you can just, break away from society, go live with nature. But do you know how long you would last if you had a cabin in the woods with no power and no electricity out in nature? You would last.
Well, we're about to find out. I think by Sunday, with this vortex cold about to hit us with the ice and the snow, because they said the power might go out for some places for a week to a month.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, it could get bad. I mean, we're seeing blizzards and everywhere. Of course, I'm in Florida, so I mean, it's probably snowing. They said it could snow in the Panhandle, which has happened several times in my lifetime. Even West Palm Beach got snow, back in the 70s. I remember that. But I guess the point I was trying to make, guys, is that if you had to go live in a cabin with no water and no electricity and survive and literally grow your own food, they said that it would, and just to get a sandwich that you would normally get at the grocery store, let's say Publix. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Publix, but Publix is all over here, this area. It's one of the major grocery stores. There's Kroger, there's all kinds of, but let's say you go to the deli at Publix and you get a turkey sandwich, and they make it for you in 5 minutes and hand it to you. In order for you to make your own turkey sandwich, it would take you 6 months. You would first have to grow a turkey, right? You would have to raise turkeys. You would have to grow the lettuce, the tomatoes, the onions. I don't know where you would get mayo and mustard and ketchup, but it would take you 6 months. And then the bread. You'd have to grow the wheat. If you had to really produce everything that makes that sandwich, most people just wouldn't hang. Most people wouldn't be able to do it, right? So we complain about the things, but really the best thing you can do, because quality, and then you got these people out there trying to live to 150, live to 200, and then all the engagement on those posts is, who wants to live that long? I wouldn't want to live past 80 or 90. Well, if you would not want to live longer, it's not that you don't want to live a long time. It's that you don't want to live a long time the way you're currently living, because most people are not content. Most people are miserable, not happy, poor, or struggling. And who wants to do that for 200 years? Nobody, right? But if life was good and you loved life and you had the resources and you can do what you want and you really enjoy your life, then you would want to extend that, right? So I think when most people comment on things like that, they're thinking of their own personal circumstances in the right now moment, and they're not thinking of it any other way. And so I guess the point I'm trying to get to is, you guys, I mean, I say this as if I'm talking to you guys, but really every one of us, including myself, needs to detach ourselves from the distractions. Because if you just turn off the news, turn off the TV, turn off the internet for a little while, which is very difficult to do because we work online, we need to be plugged into the internet. And as you can see, look at this, I got 100 tabs up here open. But and look, this is TikTok, this is Instagram up here. Now I use most of it for business and to spread a message, but because I am a producer and most people are consumers. So you're either a producer or a consumer in this world. You're either consuming the content or the products or the information, or you are producing the products, the content, and the information. And so you can choose which one you want to be, but once you become a producer, and most of you are business owners and entrepreneurial minded people, and I know you guys are out there producing and making things happen. But what we're doing here with trading is also producing. We are contributing to the economy even more than most people, because you're providing liquidity to the markets where most people are not. Most people are buying what they need. Their consumerism to the 10th degree. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all consume, we all need stuff, right? But if that's all you're doing, then you can't really complain about the results because you're not producing anything. And so you can complain all you want, but I mean, you unless you actually do something to make a difference for your own self and your family, then you're always going to be at the mercy of the people that are making the decisions and producing the stuff. So, it's funny when I see a good product that someone invented or created and it's for sale, I get mad that I didn't think of it. I'm not the kind of person that's like, I wonder if we can, that just came out, that's going to take off. But instead of buying it, I'm thinking, how can I rebrand that? And, I'm always trying to think of how to, catch the market. I told you guys, and I'm going to get to trading here in a second, because we had the big pump this morning where we're also trying to watch the market and what's happening during this Davos speak right here, because we got Brad Garlinghouse in that. Brad Garlinghouse, who's the founder or the CEO of Ripple, at Davos right now while Trump is speaking. I think Elon Musk might be there as well. I'm not sure if he's there or not, but we got people that are totally pro-America and pro-freedom and pro-crypto that are there speaking to a group of people that are pro-government control, own nothing and be happy people, right? You own nothing and be happy, while they own everything, right? The elites of the world. And don't get me wrong, Trump is an elite. Elon Musk is an elite. Brad Garlinghouse is an elite. They are the elite. But there are some elites. There are some billionaires that love freedom. You got Jeff Bezos out there. He was being controlled. Mark Zuckerberg was being controlled by the Democrats at one point, but they switched. They all switched. They switched over and they're like enjoying their lives now. I mean, they're buying yachts and living a luxury lifestyle. They're enjoying the fruits of their labor. A lot of people get mad at them and say, yeah, well, these billionaires should be taxed more and all this shit. And instead of taxing them, first of all, that's the dumbest thing in the world if you understand how money works. Billionaires don't pay taxes, not because they're not paying taxes, but because they don't have any personal income. They have corporate income and it's taxed at a different rate, and then they write off their expenses, and then they pay themselves a very small salary, so their own income tax is just on their small salary. So and if you do like California did and raise the taxes on the billionaires, you saw what just happened. They all move out of California. They're going to Miami. They're going to Texas. They're leaving. And then what's going to happen to California? Then they're going to start raising taxes on the middle class. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to start leaving. And guess who's going to be left in California? Just poor people. California is going downhill fast. Beautiful state. Beautiful state. Unfortunately, run to the ground by the Democrats. No offense to any Democrats out there, but this mentality and this way of doing business doesn't work. Out of all the different possibilities on planet Earth, a free market enterprise has always, capitalism, free market enterprise has always proven to be the best approach. Now you look at Miami, for instance. You got all these billionaires leaving New York, millionaires and billionaires leaving New York because of the crazy tax system and the new governors and mayors out there all trying to promote socialism. They're all leaving and going to Miami. Now, Miami is booming. Miami is ridiculous. I mean, I don't know how many of you have been to like South Beach, North Beach, Fort Lauderdale, anytime recently, Brickell, any of these areas down in Miami. But it's Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches, Rolls Royces, people walking around with Gucci's and $100,000 watches everywhere, and everybody's beautiful and or trying to be. Everybody's fit, most of them, and so it's like, but everybody think, oh, that's so fake. Everybody's just fake out there. But the truth is that if you compare it, if you just take a screenshot of that lifestyle and you compare it to any other place, even Monaco. I mean, you can compare it. Miami is becoming basically the Monaco of the United States. It is the melting pot. It's the closest you can get to being in another country, but still be on U.S. soil. And it really is amazing, actually, what's happening down there. And so I'm fortunate to live in Florida, but at the same time, I'm scared because Florida is going to get so expensive. Everything's going up. I mean, ridiculously priced here because everybody's moving here. Because why? We have the no state tax. We have property tax is being taken away. Governor DeSantis is getting rid of property tax, and they're trying to minimize income tax, and he's all for eliminating income tax, which is totally the opposite of all these, socialist states. And I'm bringing this up because this is what everybody would like to live in if you were not on the government dole, meaning if you're not getting handouts from the government, if you're not on Section 8 or welfare or any of these things, and there's nothing wrong with that. People need help. I understand that. There has to be programs to support people that need the support. But if you're dependent on that and you have no desire to even get out of that because you just want to have another child so that you can get more money from the state, if that's your mentality, then you're going to be pro government. You're going to be pro programs, pro what's it called? Affordable housing, pro all this stuff. I mean, there's nothing wrong with affordable housing, but I'm just saying you're going to be pro all the things that keep you down so that you can get a free handout. And
I was going to say pro-slavery.
yeah, really is. It really is, because if you're on the government dole, and when I say government dole, I mean, and no offense to anybody that works for the government or has worked for the government, but the truth is, guys, as soon as someone leaves leaves the private market, meaning not the government, and then you get a job at the government, maybe it's the DMV or any government agency, doesn't matter what it is. If it's owned and run by the government, you now become a government hireling servant, and you are no longer a contributing taxpayer of society. Now, you might say, yeah, but I still pay taxes. But guess what? Our taxes have to go up to cover your paycheck, because if you're no longer in the private sector, then we have to increase, and the bigger government gets, the more programs they come out with, the more the taxes have to go up to pay for all those new employees in those new departments and the new divisions. So when Trump and Ron Paul, I don't know if you guys remember Ron Paul, but when they're talking about shrinking the government and getting rid of all these agencies, and Trump comes in and gets Elon Musk to create Doge, and they go and find all the billions of dollars worth of waste, right? And you realize why our taxes are the way they are, and you realize all the government waste and all the bullshit that's happening out there, and then they start firing people, and the left gets pissed off and says, oh, you're firing all these innocent people. They'll go get a job in the private sector. Okay, I mean, we're paying these huge, I mean, billions are flowing in. All of these funds are going to these agencies that are doing absolutely nothing. They're not producing anything. They're doing studies on gay frogs. They're doing studies on just the most ridiculous things in the world that do nothing for everybody. So I'm all for a reduction of government. Government is important for certain things. Keeping the roads, keeping people safe, security, police, things like that, for breaking the law, and criminals, to keep the criminals off the roads and keep criminals out of the cities. And, public services, clean roads, transportation, all that kind of stuff, I think is important. But you could probably eliminate, 80% of all the other programs. Now, what would people have to do if that happened? They would actually have to produce. They would actually have to work. They would actually have to get jobs. And so when Trump changes the rule and says, if you're on government assistance, you can only be on government assistance for a year unless you're disabled. If you're disabled, you can't work again. Okay, no problem. But for all those people that are just perpetually on government assistance and they're not even trying to get a job and they don't even care to ever get a job because they can just keep getting free money, that's not really fair to the rest of us, right? And so what happens is people move away from those cities and they take their money with them. They move and if the whole country becomes that way, guess what they're going to do? They're going to leave the country. And guess where they're going to go? They're going to go to countries that don't tax you at all. Name one. Dubai. Dubai is becoming what it is. And everybody's driving around in Rolls Royces and things down there too, over there, because they don't tax the citizens. And they're basically telling Americans, if you're paying 50% taxes, you're stupid. Come to Dubai. No more taxes. And people are doing it in droves.
I just have a friend that's coming back from there today. As a matter of fact, he just took a lot of his money and transferred it over there, and that's what he was saying. He's not paying no more taxes. He's done with it. He said that he had to go through a lot of red tape just to get an account open over there, but it's going to be well worth it.
Yeah. Now you got to decide. Do you want to live in a nation like that? I mean, there's pros and cons to everything. Or you can live anywhere in the United States you want if you got some money, and if you can just get above the rat race and just take care of yourself. And so that's what we're trying to help people do here by understanding the markets and investing in the right things that are going to front run the governments and the institutions. Hopefully, all of you will, because I believe XRP is going to make a lot of people rich. This little nickel and dime that we're doing here, trying to scalp or trying to enter a position at the right time. And like for here, I got stopped out. I was in profit a little bit, got stopped out, in profit a little bit, got stopped out on this one, just re-entered. But what am I doing it for? Am I doing it for that $300, $200 that I'm making? $42 that I'm up right now? No, I got 784 XRP on this trade, 10,000 contracts. This is only going to be worth it for me if it breaks out of this. But while I'm doing this, by the way, I still have a huge amount just sitting in cold storage wallets and things like that I'm not even risking. But if this just can break out of this downward trending channel, and maybe the contracts clear and the financial world clears up, the fog clears, and all these financial institutions and all of the hedge funds, and they all get clarity. That's why they call it the Clarity Act. They all get clarity on the way that things are going to work, and then they start dumping billions in. And by the way, the supply is being diminished. This is a fact every day to the tune of about 1 billion XRP per day. Not only is it being bought up on OTC over the counter, that's going to eventually run out, and they're going to have to do it on the retail market. But people like us are now also buying as much XRP and then moving it off the exchanges into cold storage wallets. So that takes the liquidity out of the retail market. But there will come a time when you will not be able to buy it. There will come a time, unlike Bitcoin. And Bitcoin you can buy, but the price keeps going up over time, right? So you can buy a fraction, you can buy a Satoshi, you can buy $10 with a Bitcoin, or you can buy $1 million with a Bitcoin. But there will come a time when there's supply shock for XRP because of its use case. It's not going to be a speculative asset like Bitcoin, I don't think, where there's just going to always be people buying and selling. There will come a time when someone was going to want to control all of the available XRP. And if you already have a bag, as they say, meaning you already have a lot of it, then you will have beaten that run on the banks, that run on liquidity. There will be a run on the bank, meaning there will be a run on liquidity, and you don't want to be running for it during that time. You want to already be settled. And so it is a little frustrating to wait for this to happen, but in the meantime, you can learn as much as you can. You can accumulate. The good news is it's still below $3, below $2, and you can accumulate. But once this thing just gets back up to these levels up here, guys, once we finally break out of this and it gets up to the $5 range, a little trade like what I'm doing right now could be tens of thousands of XRP if I time it right, if I get in and it actually breaks out and pumps up and doesn't come back down, which is going to happen. It's going to happen eventually, where this does finally get away and start to go. So the question is, are you going to be in a trade or not? Or are you just going to be, it's okay, I got 10,000 XRP in my cold storage wallet, I'm still going to make a lot of money. Yes, you will. You'll still do good. But could you have done a lot better? And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. So if oops, I already did that. Let me just do that. If that happens and all we do is just get to $5-6 up here, which I think is easy. In fact, I think $7 to $14 is going to be like the first next step, the first next pump. I think maybe I don't know, 14x, something like that. 14, 15x from where we're at, anywhere from 10 to 14x. But let's just say that $7. From where it's at right now, that's a 271% move to the upside from the current price. Okay. Is that right? Current price. Yeah. 271% move to the upside. And if you got $1,000 on a trade, like I do down here, 1,400, it's not huge. I'm not risking life-changing money at the moment. At the moment, it's not life-changing money. It's $1,500. So let's just say $1,500 times 271% move to the upside times, that's 7x leverage right now. That's $28,000. But how many XRP will that be is the question. So 784 XRP times 271%, 2,124 times 7x leverage. So that's 14,000, almost 15,000 more XRP. Now, what will that, now that we're up in this range, you got 15,000 more XRP than you had in your cold storage wallet. Then what? Then it probably will not be coming back down to these levels again, because it'll be that like that diagram I showed you over here. And by the way, I got a lot to show you as far as what's happening with the death cross and Bitcoin and stuff. We could see some further dumping before that happens, which does give everyone a chance to buy more. But these different incremental levels that we've done several times here, and once they get away from this, once it goes from this and pumps up to the next level and pumps up to the next level, and pumps up to the next level, and then pumps up to the next level, they tend to not come back down. So the $7 would be, this is the market cap. This is the XRP market cap. But if we get up to a $2 trillion market cap right up here somewhere, guys, we're talking $20, $30 probably for XRP, maybe even more. And then it could flip Bitcoin as far as market cap. But that's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. So you're just setting yourself up for that to happen. So, but you can see very clearly the incremental levels that we've been climbing. Now we could come up to this line first before it happens. So that's why I keep entering and re-entering on this trade. I try to move my stop loss and profit. So that in case it does fall back down, I'm not, I'm getting taken out, yes, but I'm not losing. And then I can just reevaluate and re-enter, because there's going to come a time after either the Clarity Act finally passes, or Davos, or some clarity, some kind of agreement that they all come. And I would say the Clarity Act, obviously getting the final approval, which is probably going to happen in the next week or two. I think by the end of this month, they'll come to terms. Then we could finally break out of this. And so that's why you see me continuing to re-enter here on these smaller time frames, because that 15,000 extra XRP to me is, just do the math at, let's just say $1,000 XRP. If it gets to there in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, I don't know how long it's going to take, but that would be an extra $15 million for me just from taking this one little trade here. 15 million. If I can accumulate 15,000 XRP on a trade like this, which you can, without having to buy 15,000. Because if you bought 15,000 right now, nothing wrong with it. Go do it. Times whatever it is, $1.80, $27,000, you can buy 15,000 XRP right now. But I already did that over the last couple of years. I already have accumulated a lot of it. So now I just want to accumulate more by scalping and trading it. And not only that, but if this does happen, guys, I mean, and it starts to just climb, first it's going to have a big wick up, and then it's going to consolidate somewhere, let's say over here 4, and maybe come down and retouch the 360, which is the previous all-time high. Then it's going to bounce up. You know, my stop loss will be way down here somewhere, but I'll move it up, I'll move it up, I'll move it up to lock in those profits. But at this point, I'm not going to move it too close. I'm going to give it the room to consolidate, because I would like to stay in that trade for a year if I could. I would love to be in a position from down here to $1.80 to $20. That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Nico,
Yeah.
would you widen your stop loss as it goes up when it impulses like that?
Yes, I would. That's what I was just saying. I would not put it too close at that point. I would put it, it does depend on the incremental. Like if I just zoom out a little bit, let me just, let me go back to this one, because let's just say I went long here, because this is kind of where we're at, but up here, let's say I went long because we're bouncing on this upward trend line. We're bouncing on this was the floor back then. And then we got to that next level. Now this is the floor, right? But let's say you went long down here and it went up and come down and went up, and it finally got up to here and come down to here. My stop loss would be in profit down here. I would put my stop loss in profit, and it could come down close to it. But once it finally breaks out and gets to that next level, I'm not going to move my stop loss all the way up to here. I'm going to move my stop loss like once it's established the floor up here and starts to do this, I might move my stop loss up to here, let's just say, just in case we have a huge dump down. At least I won't lose all the profit I've made from here to here. But I want to give it room to do this on the next level. So it would look like this. So let's say we finally broke out of here and got up to here, let's say $13, and then it had this huge pullback all the way down to $4. That could happen. And then bounce, and then we come into another apex like this before we pump to the next one. This could take months. I don't know. Could take months. We have another apex like these. But I would have my stop loss probably under this level this whole time. I would not move it up here. Even though if I took profit up here, that would be a huge profit. And you could take profit up here and then buy back in here, but you don't necessarily know if it's going to come back and bounce here. So you would want to make, you would not really, this is the difficult part about staying in a trade for the long term. You really don't know how far a pullback could be. Like if you went long down here and you happen to catch this before it broke out and it went all the way up to here and then all the way up to here, if you would have taken profit here, you could have got back in here, and that would have been a huge profit. But if you didn't take profit here, it's going all the way back down to here, which is 50% of the profit you could have scalped up here. You're kind of giving back, but you didn't. But as long as you don't close the trade, you're still in, right? And if you hold it this long and continue to wait, that's a longer term hold. You're going to get some fees, obviously some holding fees, but it's hard to predict. It's easy to say. It's easy for me to say to do that because this will scare you. This drop all the way back down as it's doing this will scare you. You'll think, oh shit, I'm losing all this profit. I'm going to get out. It's going to come all the way back down to here. But so far it hasn't. So once we get to these other levels, we have some wicks down. That wick right there, if I would have went long down here before this breakout, that big wick, that big October 10th dump down to $1.20, whatever it was, wouldn't have taken me out if I would have had my stop loss somewhere up here. But who knows enough? Not me, but who knows enough to not move your stop loss up higher? Who knows whether it's going to come back down to this line or not? So that's the difficult part. So no matter what I tell you, it's not easy to do that. It's not easy to stay in a trade that long. But you can, and we have people in a group that did it. We have people in this group that went long on Bitcoin at 28,000. And once it broke 31 or 32,000, they increased their leverage to 100% and I think doubled their contracts. And it never came back down to 30K. Never did yet. And so, and I think that we do share a screenshot of that. They were up like, I don't know, can't remember what it was at the time, 4,000% or something like that when it got to 56,000. This was when before it even hit the all-time high of 70, when it came up and hit the previous all-time high at 68K, 70K. And they were up, it was 56K and they were up like 4,000%. They were just holding the whole time. And at any time, and I was saying, Bill probably remembers, I was saying, we could come back down to 30K. It just never did. It just never did. So it takes a strong hand, diamond hands is what they say, for you to, that was right here at 30K, right here. We were hitting this resistance. Boom, boom, coming up from the bear market bottom. We were hitting this resistance, hitting it. And I think he went long on this new run up. He went long right around here at 28K, and it broke through 30K. And we were all expecting it to come back down and retest 30K, because this is major support and resistance going all the way back to 2020. Major support and resistance. And the fact that it never came back to touch 30K is an anomaly. That is not proper market structure normally. In fact, when we got up here to 49K and we started dropping all the way back down to 38, I thought that might be the time when we were going to come back and retest the 30K, but it never did. It just kept climbing. And then up here, when we hit 73, we did come back and retest 49K, which was this resistance. And that goes all the way back to, we had resistance, support, resistance, support and resistance, and we hit it here, resistance, and then we retested it right here with that long wick down, boom, before breaking out. So I was expecting that to happen down here at 30, but it never happened. So catching a trade like that is what everybody wants. That's the unicorn trade, right? And so I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to do it right now because I think we're at the floor with XRP. I think this is the floor, and entering, every time I keep entering and say re-enter, it's only because we keep hitting this floor. And this has, now, does that mean this floor cannot be broken? No. But if we go back to December of 2024, which is over a year ago, we have not fallen below this floor. And if we look at the real long term, it's done this several times where we did not fall below the floor. So the last time we had a floor, let me just show you this right here. It was this level right here. We did hit it. We did come down to it. We had resistance, support. We climbed up. I thought we were going to wick down to it here, but we didn't. And then we just bounced out. Right now, we've wicked down to the floor. This is the floor. What is the floor? The floor is the previous high. And we wicked down to it and we bounced. And we wicked down to it and we bounced. And so we're kind of bouncing on that floor. And we have a downward trending resistance. And so I'm hoping for a breakout. But could it come down past the floor? Could it come down to this level first to $1.30 and maybe hit this upward trending support first before breaking out? Yes, everything's possible. And I can only tell you this. If that happens, I will just keep re-entering. Some of you are going to, I've said a million times in this group over the years, third time's a charm. If that keeps happening and we keep going down a little lower, it's going to be fourth, fifth, sixth times a charm, 7 times a charm. It might take that long because I'm confident that it's just a matter of time before this breaks this level up here. And then we won't come back down to this level again. And if you're in a long position from down here somewhere, you're going to be really in a good position, because then we're going to be above the ceiling, which will be the new floor, and your entry will be somewhere down here at the previous floor. That would be equivalent to getting in down here, and then it goes up to the next floor up here, and your entry is way down here. If you can hold on to that. Now, if my entry was down here, I would have moved my stop loss up to this floor, under this floor. But once it gets above a new floor, I would move it up maybe to this one. So I would be incrementally moving my stop loss up, but I would have to make sure that that is really the floor up here, and it's not going to come down to the next floor down. But so far it has not, as you can see. So far it's just stair-stepped its way up. Now, some people say, yeah, but it could crash all the way back down to 50 cents. Listen, I always say that anything is possible. It just hasn't yet. And I have to stick to, what has been going on. And with all that being said, let's look at Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is still the tide that's rising all tides, all ships. And the problem that we have here, and I've explained this over the last couple of times, is that we have a lot of bearish indicators flashing right now. The most recent one, I'm on the 2-day time frame right now. And what we see here is, let me just let me hide the drawings for a second. What we see here is this green line and this red line is the golden death cross indicator. And you want to put that on the 2-day time frame. And here's the problem. Whenever there is a red line crossing over the green line, it's a death cross. And then whenever you have the green line crossing back above, or the green line crossing over the red line to the downside, and then the green line crossing back above, that's a golden cross. The golden cross. So if you put on the golden death cross, it shows both. So the death cross is when these two lines cross. And that usually has, when I say usually, I mean every single time so far, indicated the beginning of a bear market. Cross. We do wick up sometimes. We do try to make that next move up, but it just never gets above it. And then it falls back down and we go down, down, down. And then as soon as it crosses back above, the price was already coming up. As you can see, the price was coming up before the cross. But as soon as that cross is there, okay, that's a good indication to go long. If all you're doing is trading once every 4 years, you would go short here and you go long here. The green line stays above it. That's a bull market, bull market, bull market. We hit a top, the green line crosses the red line, boom. This was in 2018. Get above it, next bull market, this was 2021, the last one, green line crosses, boom, bear market. Green line crosses back above it, bull market. And here we are, guys, and look what just happened. Sorry to inform you, the green line just crossed the red line, and we just wicked up to it and hit it, and we're dropping. So listen, I'm optimistic. I want things to change. I want the Clarity Act, and I want us to have a renewed, pump to the upside. And I want all these. I want Bitcoin to go to $1 million. I want it to raise all the other ships up. But we have some weird things going on around the world, and it just so happens to coincide with all of these bearish indicators showing us flashing something that is not necessarily positive. Now, if that's on the 2-day, if I go to the 3-day, it is not crossed yet. So let's just look at the 3-day. How many more days do we have? We have 5 days, 45 minutes, and 1 hour. Do you think this is going to cross? Do you think that's going to cross? So we're getting across on the 2-day. We would have to not cross on the 3-day for this. We would literally have to bounce back out. And just so you know, let's just go back and look how many times that's happened. I mean, without the bear market actually happening. I'm on the 3-day right now. Okay, so let's look at this one. This is interesting. 2-day. Shit. I don't know what I just did. This is January 11, 2011. January 2011. So on the 2-day, the green line crossed the red line. We did go down. It was on its way down already. It hit the bottom right when that cross happened. Actually, look at that. That's the cross. Boom. Here in 2013, as soon as it crossed, we did dump all the way down. And here in 2017, as soon as it crossed, we did dump all the way down. But as you can see, it already had dropped from the top to the cross, 60%. And then after the cross, it dropped another 24%. Here, from the top to the cross, 58%. And then after the cross, another 36%. Both 80% drops from the top. Let's go to the most recent ones. So from the top up here to the cross, right there, 28%, and then after the cross, another 50%. And right now, from the top to the cross, 20%. If we were to get another 50%, guys, that would bring us to 70%. That would be all, I mean, that would be basically right down to 30K, which is, I know it sounds crazy, but that's what's happened every other time. Now, the question is this time different? And this is what we keep talking about. And I know I might be starting to sound like a broken record, but this is just another indicator that just crossed. And it's not one that people don't use and take seriously. The golden death cross is serious. Now let's remove the golden death cross and let's just look at all the other ones that I was talking about. We got the EMA ribbon, flipped bearish, and we're trying to get back above it. Actually, I'm on the weekly. We came up to it and we bounced. We didn't even get above it. And then we broke back down all the way below this upward trending support. Not good. Let's go look at the last time we got below it. This was back in the previous bull market, the last one. We did the same thing. We flipped it here. This is where if I put the golden death cross, you'll see it's crossing. Oh no, this is the weekly. I gotta go to the 2-day for that. In the last bull market, sorry for the confusion, right here. And we flipped the EMA, and then we have the cross over here. This is the 2-day. So the EMA is best used on the weekly. So I don't want to confuse you with all that, guys, but on the weekly, we flipped the EMA right here, and we tried to get back above it. It's very similar. Look at this. Very similar. Flip the EMA, meaning we're under it. There's been times when we wick down to the bottom of it and got back above it. But when we get under it and we hold it as resistance, this is the time right now that we had the chance to get back above it and hold. Remember, I was saying we could, if we pump up to 100 or 105, it'll look like this. But right now, very similar. We flip the EMA, we come up to it. We're trying to get back above it, and we wicked right up to it. And then we have this big red candle coming down, and it's breaking this upward trending support. Very similar to here where it broke that upward trending support. As soon as it breaks that, if a candle opens underneath that and retests as resistance, this upward trending support, guys, then I'm I don't really know what to say at that point. We're looking at possible more damage to the markets, not just crypto, but stock market and everything. And this might all be by design, but it just so happens to be at the exact same time as every other bull market. So is it really being manipulated by governments and laws and Davos and wars and Venezuela and all this shit? Does it really have anything to do with what Trump says? He wasn't talking back here. He wasn't talking back here. Or is it just the way the markets work? They work in cycles. And so far they have. This is the 4th bull market cycle, technically. But does that mean it's going to continue like this? A lot of people don't think so. A lot of people think that this might be it. And, we're going to have a super cycle. We're going to have a big pump to the upside. And I hope that happens. But when I look at all of these very well respected and long running indicators, that was that. Now let's go to Gaussian channel. Let's go to 5-day on the Gaussian channel. We are below it. Oh, we're below it. And guess what's just happening? You see that? It's turning red on the 5-day, guys. And we have this big dump. And we're below this. And another can. I mean, this is. And we got a red dot down here on the 5-day on market cycle. Short. If you guys weren't, if you guys weren't my audience and I was just in my little office here trading, I would be short Bitcoin, at least in one account. I might have a hedge going, but I mean, I could give a signal for it, but this, I mean, your odds of being right are pretty high. Now, the reason why I'm hesitant is because of the Clarity Act, which could cause us to have this big pump to the upside. And then is that possible? Yes. So let's just look at the last time we held below the Gaussian channel and literally came back up. Because it only happened maybe once. Right here. We got below it. And it turned red right here. Right? Just imagine this little sliver when it just started turning red. Because of this. But then it flipped it back to green and we went into the bull market. What bull market? That was the last bull market. And why this happened, this only reason this happened, guys, was because of the COVID crash. That was the anomaly. So could we have another COVID crash? Not COVID, but something else that causes us to pump back up? Some exciting news that could cause this to happen? But it has to be a catalyst, guys. And have we not had any catalysts over the past year? I mean, we've had one after another every week, and still we haven't broken a new high. So go ahead.
Hey, Nico, is that the Golden Death Cross? Is that the same as the MA cross?
No.
How does XRP look when you do all this on it?
Well, XRP is still correlating with Bitcoin, so I use these indicators on Bitcoin, but until XRP decouples, hold on a second. XRP is doing the same thing. It's got below the Gaussian channel on the 5-day, but XRP might look different. Let's just look. From here, that was January 2018. This one is 2021. I mean, generally speaking, when it's gotten below the Gaussian channel and it's turned red, here it pumped above it, came back below it. This is an anomaly here. That was in 2014. So it's hard to base it on XRP because on Bitcoin, I can go back all the way to 2011 and show you every time that it's been the same result that has happened. But on XRP, it looks a little different. On XRP, it's coming above and below multiple times in a single bull market cycle on the same 5-day. This right here was one of these around here. This might have been the COVID crash right here. And we come back above it. So it's very different. On Bitcoin, COVID crash turned red just for the crash and then turned green again right after that as we pulled right back out. But it's still not necessarily good because technically speaking, it's still turning red right here on the 5-day. And we tried to get back above the center line, even with XRP, and we wicked almost all the way to it and then fell back below it. The difference is that Bitcoin is below the Gaussian channel and XRP is still in it. And dipped below it for a minute, but popped back up in it. Which is positive. Let's look at Pi cycle. Well, Pi cycle is showing on XRP a top here. And we're nowhere near these two lines crossing. I think I need to go on the weekly for that. So we had a Pi cycle cross on XRP back here in 2017. You see the two lines right here crossing. And then they crossed again and crossed again here, and we pumped up even higher. So right now we have a cross right here, which was back in February of 2025, almost a year ago when we hit 360. But right now they're not close to crossing again. They would have to cross again for us to be on our way up. Same with Bitcoin. With Bitcoin, we are nowhere. That's in this. So this is the positive. This is the bullish thing. So if we look at BTC on the pi cycle cross, the pi cycle top always indicates the top of a market. It has historically, accurately, every single time. Top, top, top before bear market, top before bear market. But this time it has not. In fact, not only has it not, but it's far away. Like here is the red line. Let me just. Red line and the green line are far apart. They're not even close to crossing. So that could mean that the top is not in yet for this cycle. And this is why a lot of people think that we could have this super cycle and things like that are still have yet to come, because the pi cycle top has been very accurate ever since the beginning of time as to indicating the top of the market. And so we got close right here when we hit 73K, but not even enough. And then we got far apart again. So what does that mean? That means we could have another big run up, and it would bring us right up to another thing that's important, which is the 1.6 on the Fibonacci. So there's a couple things that are still very positive and very bullish. This is why it's very difficult for me to give a short signal and say that we're going into a bear market right now, because it's not 100%. Like what? But was it ever? Was it back here 100%? No, back here I would have probably said there's no guarantee. I mean, we could. This time could be different. I could be saying the same thing back there, but historically, you know, the charts don't lie. The charts keep doing the same thing over and over again. And right now, the only thing there's a couple anomalies. So there's an anomaly. What am I trying to say? Couple anomalies. 5 of the indicators are flashing bearish. We got the golden death cross. We got the EMA ribbon. We got the super guppy, which I didn't even show you on this one, but the super guppy, guys, this is kind of important. When the super guppy, let's just turn some of these other ones off for a second. Every single time when the super guppy turns from green to gray, it's right where the pi cycle, it's right where the golden death cross crosses. On the daily, let's see which one is that. Nah, shit, I keep screwing these up. Let me just show you the pi cycle. All right, the super guppy for now. But the super guppy turns gray after a bull market top. The super guppy turns from green to gray, and that usually is the beginning of the final push to the bear market. This is the last one, 2021. We hit 68K. We come down. We try to make a run for it. This is that same thing pattern that I was showing you. We get below. We try to get back above it. The super guppy turns gray, and that is the beginning of the end of the bull market. And so far, this whole time of this bull market, we've been green, 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 and it just turned gray also right here. And we tried to get back above it right here, and we're failing. So, you know, it's not me making this shit up, guys. These are very well-respected indicators that do their thing. The pi cycle cross, if I put that back on here, you can see it turned gray pretty much on the right around. Actually, it turned red right when the golden death cross happened, which is after gray. So gray is even an indicator before the red. So it was just an indication of things to come, basically. So we get rid of all of this stuff and we just look at market structure, guys, without any indicators, without anything, we got a big red dot on the 2-day. Let's go to the weekly. We got market structure. We held support at 94K. If we got above it and held, we could make it to the 100. If we got above that and held, we can make it to the 105. If we get above that, we can make it to the 108, which is the all-time high back here. And I was saying that this whole little wedge, this whole little apex, we could wind up in it. And then if we break over here, then I would have called that the end. I would say that is the head and shoulder and the end of it. But if we break this already and we start to come down here into the 80s and we can't get back above 94, 95, then the next drop down here is 70K. Pretty much the next support level. And I would say it's more of a range. I would say it's between 68K and 73.8. 74, let's just say. Because that is the previous all-time high, and this, when we broke it here at 73.8 and when we retested here at 74. So that's it. That would be the next major support down if we cannot hold what looks like what we're breaking right now. We're at 87 right now, guys. XRP is not dropping with Bitcoin at the moment. So that's interesting because XRP is kind of on the floor.
It also didn't have a huge wick.
What didn't?
Seems like XRP didn't wick down to the same degree that BTC did this morning, but I could have been on different time frames. I don't know.
Yeah, let me check. I mean, it did have a wick this morning. Oh, well, this is Bitcoin, but this right here was the big drop this morning, but it's depends on, I guess, what we go on Heikinashi. We did have a nice big drop from up here from this level over the last 24 hours. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong thing here. I'm on the wrong chart. This I meant. All right. I guess here was the only drop we've had. Looks like it's setting up for a little bit of a, I don't know, it's hard to tell, W or an M. But I'm on Heikinashi right now, so it doesn't show as much. Let me go over to candles. Yeah, you're right. XRP did have a nice wick down in comparison. XRP had this big, let me get rid of this stuff. This big wick right here. Usually that is an indication of a trend reversal. The trend is down, 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 down. Huge wick to the downside, actually a hammer candle. And if we go into trade signal channel, go to help desk, go to pin messages, come to chart candle patterns, and look at what that usually means. Neutral, bearish, let's see. It's an undecisive candle. It doesn't know whether it wants to go up or down. We don't have a hanging man candlestick because we do have a wick on the top. It's more of a doji candlestick, which is more like spinning top.
Lower right.
This one is a hammer candle, which has no wick at the top. And I think we do have a little bit of a wick here at the top. It depends on what time frame you're on, but on the daily, it's more accurate. And we had another wick, another candle after that, but this green candle right now, I mean, it could turn red at any time. It's still got some time left, but it's looking like also like it could turn into something like a dragon doji. And these all have statistical odds of nature to them, meaning they usually do something. Green body with a long wick on the top and a long wick on the bottom usually indicates an uptrend or a trend reversal. Same with the red one to the downside. It's usually a trend reversal pattern. So if the trend has been long running like this, long running up, and then we have this hangman, doji candle where it looks like a hammer candle, it's usually an indication of the trend changing, like this one. Long wick to the downside, trend changes to the upside. And we had that. So let's look. We had a long wick to the downside. The trend should have changed to the upside. That's why I went long right when that happened. But we did have another candle. We come down to retest, but this could be the time. This could be the time where it's finally going to and by the way, not only was it a long wick to the downside, but it was a long wick to the bottom of the floor right here. If I really zoom this out, line this up to where it's supposed to be, it really is the bottom. Now, there were only 2 incidences we went below it. Right here, we went down to $1.61, and right here on October 10th, when we dropped all the way down to $1.20. And both times it sucked back up very quickly. This one, at least this one, we wicked down to it and we had that red candle afterwards. And then we had the green, which climbed out. So right now we have that red candle afterwards. We have that big wick down. We have the red candle after. And now we have the green. Hopefully it'll wick out. Hopefully that's a good entry. You can wait for the break of this downward trending channel if you want. I already went long because I'm not playing around with, guys, just so you know, when I do it over and over and over again, it's not because I'm hard-headed or stubborn, and it's not, I'm not telling you to do it. I am taking more risk by doing that, but I'm trying to get the best entry possible for the breakout, which I believe is inevitable. Now, if it does stay in this shaded out downward trend that we have here, this whole downward trend, and it gets below this floor, now that's a different problem. It would have to look like this. Gets below the floor, hits the bottom, and then comes up and hits the bottom of that floor. I'll just continue this. If it stays in this shaded out area, heading downward, and it gets below the floor, which is what has been historically the floor, going all the way back for a year now, well, then we could see some lower lows. Yeah, for sure. That changes things. But because we are bouncing on the floor, I'm expecting, and doing it on the halfway mark, I'm hoping that this is the time that we break out finally, like it did here. When we get to the floor on a downward trending channel, we finally break out and hold it as support and climb back up. And if I go back to the longer running chart, it's done that almost every time, where we would go really high, back down, bouncing on the floor and break out, up to the top, back to the floor, up to the top, almost back to the floor, This one did go a little lower here. Depends on where you're calling the floor. We had resistance and support here. We broke below it, hit resistance, and then dipped all the way down to the next floor, the subfloor. I like to call it the floor and the basement floor. We got the floor and then the subfloor, just like we have a ceiling and the attic ceiling. You have a ceiling in your house that you can see when you look up, and then if you broke through that, you'd have another ceiling in the attic. So we have and that's very similar to this too. We wicked up to the ceiling right here, right on the nose, and then we wicked through it here and just went up a little higher. And that became the attic ceiling. That became the range of the top. We hit the floor right here, bounce, bounce, bounce. We wicked through it to the bottom. That became the range from the floor to the bottom of the floor. So this whole range is the floor. This whole range is the ceiling. See, there's a lot of times it bounces right on the top, right on the top, right on the top, right on the top. Sometimes wicks through, wicks through. If you go on a higher time frame, these are just wicks. If you go to the lower time frame, it looks like it broke through and went down for a little while and then came back up. This one broke the floor. It's in the middle of it, and we need to get out of it. It's banging its head on the center line. Center anymore. So it's hard to tell. I mean, I'm not watching the speech right now. I don't know what's going on over in Davos. I know that economic development and crypto is a topic, but it's not the main theme over there. But Trump does have a tendency of speaking and causing market chaos.
Hey, Nico, I got a question about your entry.
Yes.
Can you just want to continue to learn your psychology behind things? Can you zoom into like the 15-minute chart? I saw your signals last night about when they came in, and at one point, as I remember, I think I saw you had an entry at 189, and then you had your stop loss at 175, and then the market moved up to like 192 or something like that. And then I saw you move your stop loss to 189.
Yeah.
Then in the middle of the night, I was 12 o'clock, I decided to get back up and watch, and the market dumped back down. So it had to have knocked you out of your stop loss, at least what it looked like last night, because it went down below that 189. So did you get stopped out and then you re-entered again?
Yeah. Which happened on this call, which I said on this call when we started.
Oh, yeah, I showed up a little bit late. I missed that.
Yeah, this took me out.
So-
This took me out, I think, right here. And then once it started to come up here, remember I was posting in the group saying
Yeah.
we need to hold above 194. I was out at that point. Let me just go back and look. Whoops. Let me go back to my signal channel.
Oh, you didn't get stopped out.
Yeah, so here I was saying it needs to hold above the 194 XRP. If you are all if you aren't already along from the signal yesterday, this might be the next best entry. If we get above 194 and hold a support, we will be, I mean, if it gets above 194, it would be the next best entry. If you
Yeah,
didn't,
I saw that.
yeah. But yeah, so it didn't get above 194 and boom, it came down and just took me out and I re-entered right as soon as I could on this, right when we were starting this call, actually. This just kind of happened right before the call. And I think I did it on the call. I can't remember. Anybody remember? I think I did that right on the call.
So essentially, you got back in the middle of the range versus down at a lower touch point.
Well, it went down to the bottom of the channel. It went
Sure,
down, couldn't
but
enter.
where you got back in was right about here.
Well, yeah, I probably went when I saw this wicking down. By the time I go up here and get ready to enter, it's already pulled up to here. So it's not that I intentionally did that. If I could have timed the bottom, I would have.
Yeah.
But
what I'm saying from a psychology standpoint is you're in the middle of the range from that clear up above there to down to just this
yellow line.
No. Just currently the red line where you're at. The price action. No, go all the way to the right edge. That whole wick down just the 4 or 5 bars right there.
The range of this drop, you mean?
Yeah. So you're in the middle of that range and still willing to put the trade on is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, because that's not what I base my trade on. I base it on hitting the bottom of the overall downward trending support line, which every time it has done, that is the bottom.
Right.
Bounce up, except for here where it wicked all the way down to the floor. But that's not even it. If you zoom out even more and see this overall downward trend, this between these two white lines, let me just zoom out even more. This is the big channel coming all the way down from the all-time high of 360 up here.
Yeah.
And it came down, it wicked through that, came back up, hit this downward trending channel, and then bounced on the center line. This blue center line going down the middle of the overall channel. So, but it also wicked through it a little bit, and it just so happened to hit this downward trending channel. So two things happened. We hit the center line. I always talk about how, and I talked about that on the beginning of this call. I went and showed you how it happens on Bitcoin, is that a lot of times before we do have a breakout of a channel, we've hit the bottom, or we've come down to the floor, boom, we've hit the top, and then we come back and retest the center line before breaking out.
Which is double bottom, yeah.
Which happens to be, this center line just happens to be right near the bottom of this sideways floor. Now, if this whole downward trending channel gets below the floor and it just keeps doing that, that's what I was just talking about a minute ago. If it just winds into this and gets below this red line and then holds underneath that center line and holds down here and maybe comes down lower, then we could see, much lower lows. But for a year now, it's held above this red line. There's been a couple wicks, as I was saying, we wicked down here, but that wick sucked right back up immediately. And those are anomalies we can't really do anything about. We had a wick down here, very similar drop. We come to the floor, hold support, wick all the way down below it, and immediately come back above it, and then hold support on the floor. So only a couple times did it wick down below this red line, going back a year now. This time it probably hit the bottom. If I have this at the right spot, let me just move that's probably right there. Yeah. So only twice, this one and this one, did it wick all the way down below the floor. And both times it came right back up, and that was the beginning of a pump back up. If we go back and look at this one, that was the beginning of a pump back up, all the way up to the top.
Yeah. So going back to your entry, roughly 189 or 90, somewhere in there. How big of a stop loss do you feel like you need to have? Do you need to be below that floor there?
I don't currently, as you can see, I don't currently have one. Here's my liquidation, and my liquidation 165, which is so, but I'm watching, so I'm paying attention. If this starts to come below this blue line and starts to get down down below the floor, then I will say, okay, well, then my thesis is wrong. This might not be the floor anymore, and we could be continuing down in this overall channel, and I will have to reverse this position.
Which below that floor is quite a bit more than 10% of your liquidation. I mean, it's just visually, it looks like 60% of it.
Yeah, it's probably 50, 60%. Yeah. Now I'm not going to let that happen though, because right now I'm positive 12%. I'm up 95 XRP at the moment on that trade. I can go and enter. In fact, I will. I'm just going to do that just to make sure I don't lose too much. I will put a stop loss below the downward trending support line, somewhere under here, probably at a dollar. Let's just say $1.79 for now, just to get it on the board. That'll be 34% instead of 60%. It's under this wick. It's under that wick. But as soon as, and if we do climb out of this, if that little wick right there was enough to bring us back up to the top of this downward trending channel, then I will, if we can get above that $1.90 right there and start to come up to this line again, I will move my stop loss to break even again, at least, maybe even right up to about $1.90. Because if this isn't the time that it's going to break out, then again, I don't want to lose money. I'd rather it take me out down here. If it hits this, if it comes back up right here, holds the support here and hits this, I will move my stop loss to about here. If it comes back down and takes me out, oh, well, so be it. Another profitable trade where I scalped about 70 XRP or so. And then we'll have to see, is it going to come back down to the center line and finally break out? Or is it going to come all the way down to the bottom? Or is it going to come all the way down to the bottom? But if it breaks out here, on the other hand, if it gets above this and holds this as support, then I'll just stay in this trade. And hopefully that'll be the breakout that we've been waiting for, that will take us back up to the top of this overall downward trending channel, because this one will no longer be, it'll have broken out of this resistance line here.
Yeah, that makes all sense. Cool. Thanks.
And so, yeah. And if some of you are watching this going, man, this is a lot, that sounds like a lot of work. It sounds like a lot of, okay, well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sitting on my ass in air conditioned, drinking coffee, looking at a chart, but scalping, hundreds of dollars a day easily with, I mean, there are choices, I couldn't even imagine right now. Every once in a while, I have to go somewhere, like an appointment, and my appointment is like 4:00 in the afternoon, and it's like in Tampa or something, which is 30-minute drive. And then I get stuck in that bumper to bumper rush hour traffic. And I'm like, and I can't believe these people do this every day. I'm thinking to myself, holy cow, every day they're in hours of traffic on their way to work or from. So to me, that alone is not worth. Now, of course, I could trade in traffic if I want to, but at the same time, I try to compare this, understanding this and just kind of watching and knowing where the entry points are and doing this compared to actually trading my time or working somewhere for the money instead. And it seems like there's still no comparison, but and I understand though, learning a new skill is sometimes a little bit nerve-wracking, but yeah, to me, it's more instinctive, BA, because when I entered this position, it was just because of that huge wick. I don't think too much about it. I don't go up to the higher time frame. I already know we're in this channel. I already know we're in the overall downward trending channel. I already know where the center line is, and it wicked right down and popped right back above after hitting this. So I just immediately went long again on that pullback, because usually what happens when you get a long wick like this, it's a pullback up. A long wick like this, it's a pullback up. Long wick like this, it's a pullback up. Now, look at this one. We did have this very same thing happen. It wicked below this line, and it came back up, and it did go up after that, but it also came back down almost, but not as far as where the wick was. And then it did pump up to the top of this channel. So you got to decide during this, if I enter here, if this wick's down and I enter here, should I get out here and just take the profit, scalp it? Should I let all this happen? and go back to negative, and then take the profit here. Or so if you're scalping, what you want to do is get in on the big drops like this, take the profit. Get in on the next dump, take the profit. Or as soon as it hits the top, short and write it down. As soon as it comes back and hits the top, short, write it down. So I would say that better than trading in the middle of a channel, it would be better to wait for the bottoms or the tops. So if it's right here right now and it looks like it's climbing, should you go long? No, you should wait to see if it hits the top and falls further lower or breaks out. Because if it breaks out and holds the support, then you enter long. But if it just hits the top and it can't get through it, that's a short. And then you write it back down. So what I'm going to wait for now, because I tried to get in at the bottom on that wick, my entry didn't go in until about here, but it was on the wick that I entered. And so my entry is right here, which happens to be on support. It literally hit down, it wicked all the way down here and came right back up and held support here. And so what I want to see happen is it break through this and get up above this and finally break out of this, and I will stay in the trade. But if it only gets up to here and hits that and can't get through and looks like it's making lower highs as it's trying to get through like this, it hits it and makes a lower high and a lower high, that's usually an indication that it's going to fall back. Hits it, can't get through, tries to hit it again, can't get through. These are all lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. Usually an indication it's going to fall back. Now, there are some times when it breaks through and looks like it's holding a support. But remember what I say also is that when we do have a breakthrough, you should wait for it to break through and retest and get higher than where it broke through. Because if it breaks through and retest and it doesn't get higher, then that's a lower low. And that usually means there's not enough buying pressure to get it higher. And that usually falls right back down into the channel. Sometimes I don't do that. Just so you know, I know better. I should wait for it to get higher than the breakout. But sometimes when I see it's holding and starting to climb, I go ahead and enter long. And that's a mistake. You should wait. The institutional trading academy will teach you to wait for it to make a higher high. So it breaks out, comes down and holds a support, starts to climb. It should make a higher high and hold that as support. Whatever that high was when it broke out. That's your best entry. That's the safest entry. That's usually an indication it's going to continue in that direction. But if it can't even make a higher high after breaking out and retesting, then chances are it's going to just fall back in. So if you do this right, and if you've watched over the past, week or so, when I've had several entries on XRP long, they all took me out in profit. They all hit my stop loss, but all my stop losses were in profit because I moved my stop loss. Once I get 15% or more, I move my stop loss to break even on profit. Stop loss hit again, in profit again. Move my stop loss into profit. I repeated on and forth. Third image. That's Bitcoin.
What leverage are you using?
On XRP, I'm very low. I'm at 7x. Down here, you can see long 7x. The reason why is because I'm trying to keep my liquidation away. And my liquidation is way down here at $1.65.
I just got liquidated massively, but I couldn't actually adjust my liquidation on Phemex. It wouldn't let me because I guess I didn't have enough margin.
You were already negative when you tried to change it?
Yeah.
Bill. Yeah, Bill's got a basics call. By the way, guys, I forgot to announce. It's 2:00. Bill's got a basics call starting right now. if you're brand new or new here, you want to get on that for sure. He put the link in the chat, in the Zoom chat, and also in the Discord. When you go in the Discord, it's up here in the announcements channel, Bill's Basics call, and it's also in the trade chat down here. You must have just posted it. Boom, Bill's Basics call. So make sure you get on that. We post it everywhere. I know the other day someone said that they couldn't find Chad's call. Normally it's up here in the events channel. All of them, whatever the time of the call is, just click that link and it'll take you there. But I normally post mine in the Signal channel and in the trade chat and in the announcements channel before the calls. But sometimes we can forget, or maybe we don't post it all the places we normally do. But anyway, Bill's Basics call. Get on that if you're new. Let me just check something real quick here. Make sure I don't have. Thought I had an appointment here, but I may not.
You have a good one, Nico. I'm gonna take off, go to Bill's program.
Yeah, get on Bill's. If you're new guys or relatively new, make sure you get on Bill's call. I'm gonna go back over here to my chart for a minute. I'll spend another 5 minutes here and then gonna wrap it up. But I'm in a long position right now. This is the daily on XRP. We are bouncing on the center line. It looks like an upward trending support as well. That could be a coincidence, maybe not, but it also is bouncing right here on the blue center line in the overall downward trending channel. Now, like I said before, usually when we do have a breakout, it's usually after we hit the bottom, the floor. This is the floor. We hit the bottom and we hit the top, and then we retested the center line. So those two things have happened. So technically speaking, guys, that is very similar to a 1, 2, 3 pattern. Let me just take this over here and put that 1, possibly a 2, possibly a 3. We'll see. Not convinced yet, but we shall see.
So, Nico, can you go back to the 50-minute chart? I know we covered this before. I just want to round out this question a little bit more.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I've got a lot of trading behind me, so I'm learning through you as well, just psychology. So now, if you miss this trade and you were looking at it right now, it would have been nice to get into this trade at, it's only cents, but you got thousands of cents, 0.8971, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so if you miss this touch point at the bottom, and you're at your level there, which is basically 189.71, where your yellow line is, which is what it looks like where your entry is. If you miss this, and now you're at the top of that yellow line, which is a horizontal channel you got drawn in the price action there. Yep. The price right now is up at the top of that channel. It's kind of in the range. It's not in the outer limits, really.
Yeah. This is the middle. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you enter back in right now if you just pulled up right now and saw it and like, oh, touched the bottom again, popped up? I would have missed it anyway because that happened probably in a few minutes.
Yeah, probably not.
It actually did. I watched it happen.
Yep. Hindsight is genius. So you have the benefit of hindsight now. You can look back and say, well, was that a great entry? See, when I entered this, it just did this and started to suck back up. By the time I entered it, it didn't enter me until here. So it looks like I got in right on the support line here.
Yeah.
But I was also expecting it to pull out of this quickly, and it didn't. So if I'm looking at it right now, I would say, no, I would wait to see if it comes back down and retest here, or maybe even comes back down and retest here. But if it gets above this, still don't enter, because now it's too close to the resistance. So I would, in this channel right now, I would wait for either it to break out of here and hold the support. That would be a great entry. It would be a more confident, for sure, breakout entry, or wait for it to fall back below here. I still wouldn't enter short here. I would wait for a bounce again here. Now, unless you just want to take a little bit more risk. If you want to take more risk and you're okay with it, then you could technically enter long right now and just put a stop loss right here. But if it falls back below this, that would have been you will immediately realize that the mistake.
Yeah, everybody's risk appetite's different. And so there's always a point where you start chasing versus what you just described. You should wait for these two things to happen. And there's a range of time where you still can say, okay, I'm still going to take this, even though it's getting away from the place that I would have really liked to got in, which would be the place where it came to you. Right now, it's gone away from you, so you want it to pull back.
It has, but technically speaking, it's still in the middle of the floor. So, I mean, we're still at the floor. So, is now a good time to buy XRP? Yes, we're on the floor as far as I'm concerned. So, anything under $2 to me is a buy, because this top line right here is $2. Anything under $2 is a steal. I mean, I'll be buying probably all the way up to $3 or more, trying to keep
when you're talking about the asset, but when it comes to futures, you have to have a good entry.
Right. And the floor is about as good as you're going to get on a long position, but there are certain levels of this floor. So you're right. There are thousands of cents between here and here.
Mm-hmm.
And so the question is it going to wick down here again? And are you going to be paying attention when it does to be able to catch that?
Yeah.
Or should you just get in here with low leverage and maybe low contracts for just to hold a spot, have your liquidation way down here somewhere, and then you don't have to worry about that. And then you can just put a stop loss maybe underneath the floor, which is somewhere here, and let's say $1.70. That way, in case it wicks down to the floor, because it is possible that we have another anomaly like this, or like back here when it did it, right here where it wicked down to $1.61.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying it's going to happen, but it could. It has before. I don't think we're going to have another dump like this where it dropped 15% in a day. That was crazy, or in an hour. But trillions were lost there, but billions came right back in. But if you look at it, we are about halfway of the floor. This yellow line is the local falling wedge, which is bullish. This right here is a bullish falling wedge. Generally breaks to the upside. On top of that, it's a bullish falling wedge on top of the floor, which means it's on support, which is bullish as well. So two good things are happening. We have a bullish falling wedge, and I can only show you how many times we've broken to the upside during those, usually always. But the question is, where is it going to do it? Is it going to do it here and keep me from going negative, or is it going to drop down lower first before it finally breaks out? Right. And so if you have patience and you say you've been trading for a long time, so you know the power of having, sitting on your hands and waiting for the best entry.
Yeah.
And right now would not be the best entry unless you got in right now and it just went up from there and never came back. Then you could say that was the best possible entry you could possibly have at this moment, because you can't go back in time and have a lower entry.
Which it doesn't work like that most of the time.
But people who take the risk over and over and over again do get lucky, and that eventually happens to them, but it's not really luck. It's because they just kept re-entering until it finally happened. But they also got nickeled and dimed up until that point. So, if you don't want to do that, then it's better to do the safe thing, which is wait for the break. Because if you wait for the breakout of this, okay, so the price is, you're getting it at $1.95 instead of $1.89. So it's a 5-cent difference, right? Which technically is a lot, but is it really in the grand scheme of things? If that is the final breakout and we do get up to, 225, 250, 230, whatever, is it going to be a big deal that you've got it at $1.95 instead of $1.90?
No, yeah, you're right.
I don't think so. I know that there are people that, they wanted to wait for Bitcoin to drop to $10,000 in the last bear market before they entered, and it hit 15.5 and it never went down. And I can assure you they're thinking now that if they could have bought one Bitcoin at 15.5 instead of waiting for it to 10, that's a $5,000 difference, not a 5-cent difference. And they'd still be happy that they made that decision if they would have went long or bought at 15.5 instead of waited for 10. So it's hard to say now when that's going to happen. I mean, did anybody think that when Bitcoin hit 15.5 that it was going to go to 100,000, 120,000 in the next year or two. I think people knew that we knew because we called the bear market bottom at 17. So we thought the bull market was starting, but I still didn't know for sure that it was going to go over 100 grand in the next 2 years, 3 years. And it did. You know, we all thought that it could, but it did. But imagine if XRP did that and went from $2 to 200 and some dollars in this next pump up. And is that possible is the question. And the answer is yes, because it's already gone from 5 cents to $3.60. So percentage gain wise, that would be about the same as going from $3 up to, you know, $200 or so, right? Because you're talking about a couple hundred X. If I go back to this pattern right here on XRP and go up to the weekly and show you where it was here, it was 0.004 cents. And so is it possible to go from 0.004 cents up to $3.60? Yes, it did. That's it happened already. So let's just do the math. That's $3.66 divided by 0.004. That's 915x. 900, that's 1,000x, guys. So imagine getting another 1,000x from where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, that did happen over, you know, over 2021 to 2, 3 to 4, 8. That took 8 years, but 1,000x from let's just say you have $1,000 invested in XRP and that's it, and you got 2,000 XRP, and it goes up 1,000x. You know, I mean, that's $1 million right there for just $1,000 investment. Now, if you have 10,000 or 20,000 or 50,000, and there's people in this group, I'm not going to name names, but there's people in this group with 6 figures worth of XRP sitting there waiting for that type of move, and they're not going to be like, they're not going to make $1 million or $10 million. They're going to make yachts in Monaco money, like ridiculous money.
Yeah. So going back to that entry, like you said, you could take it here. So just understanding some of the psychology, and then put your stop loss below those wicks.
So yeah, so this is the risky part, and to me, it's not even that much risk if you ask me. So if you were to enter now in the hopes that this could be the time it breaks out, you just put a stop loss down here somewhere under the bottom of the downward trending channel. Yes, but it depends. Like, so for me, I got $1,400 risk on the line here, $1,500, let's just say. And if it drops down to my stop loss, which is let's just go look at it. My stop loss is a 34% loss, right? If it were to drop right now and hit that, I would lose 34% of $1,489.
Yeah.
So I would lose $500 on that. Is that the risk? And so you have to be the only one that can say that. Now I could move my stop loss up right now and make it really tight, right under the support. And if it hit it, I would lose. Let's just do the math and see. I'll do it right now just to see. That would change my stop loss to 5%. That's more tolerable. You know, $1,500 at risk times 5%. That's a $75 loss.
But more apt to get stopped out. But
more likely to get hit.
But my question there was earlier, just 10 minutes ago, you had said below, give your stop loss enough room, go below those wicks or below the base. And so I just wanted to run with that train of thought of what you were describing there, getting below both of those big wicks and even below the base. Yes, it's creating a lot of margin there, a wide range that you could lose. So in that environment, as if it broke down and started going down and you were still holding the position and you were still wide like that with your stop loss, would you dollar cost averaging contract? And at what point do you start thinking about dollar cost averaging?
Okay, great question. So if I saw it drop below this, and what I would probably do, me personally, I would probably move this stop loss out of the way just to see if it's going to bounce on this yellow line.
Mm-hmm.
If it bounces on that yellow line, I will take that as a double bottom at the downward trending support, and I will probably add more contracts right on that bounce.
And wait for the double bounce, the
And I would
double
probably
bottom bounce.
I would double the amount of contracts right there.
Right, but would you wait for the double bottom?
That would
Not
be
the
the
first.
that would be it. It would come
Oh,
down right there. Let's just say that would be another touch point on this
yeah.
wave right here. And then if it starts to, now my entry would move down to about here if I did that. My entry would, if I doubled the contracts from 10,000 to 20,000, my entry would move halfway between its current location and my next entry down here. So it would be somewhere here. So it wouldn't take as long for me to get back in profit. Right?
Yeah.
What if I'm wrong? What if I do that and I double my contracts and then it dribbles and dribbles and dribbles and keeps going down? Well, now because I'm so close to the floor, I have a choice. Cut the loss, take the loss, cut it, or let's just wait. Let's just let it get a little more negative and see if it really holds on the real floor. Because if it holds on the real floor and bounces down here somewhere, I will do it again. I'll add more contracts. It's dollar cost. I will bring my entry down a little bit, and I'm taking my final risk on this because then it would, to me, it would really be the bottom. But here's the thing. It's either now or never. I'm not going to do that again. No. So if it breaks below the floor and holds as resistance after I've done that 3 times, dollar cost average all the way down, and it gets below this and holds as resistance and starts to go down, I will probably reverse the position and take the loss at that point. But that would be that's a risk. Don't get me wrong, that is a risk, and not everybody can stomach that. So
Would
the
you-
better
would
thing
you-
to do. Go
Would you,
ahead.
on that third one, would you double your contracts again?
Not double. No, probably not. I would probably wait for it to come up and get me in profit first. Once I'm in profit, like this right now, once this holds and gets above this and breaks out, I will double my contracts again. And this will move my entry up, but I will now be more confident in the direction.
Oh yeah.
Right
So
now,
for-
I'm confident in the direction because we're still in a downward trending falling wedge inside of an overall downward trending channel. We're still doing this. We're still heading down. The overall, it's obvious when you look at it this way, the overall trajectory is still downward until we break out of this white line to the upside. But this is also a falling wedge inside of the downward channel, and it is bouncing on the floor. And we are, even though this is a downward trending channel all the way from up here, we've only come down to the floor. And even though we've hit the floor here, bounce back up, hit the floor here, bounce back up, hit the floor here, bounce back up, and hit the floor here, we have not gone through the floor yet. So to me, this is major support and a falling wedge coming together at the same time, which technically is bullish. So
Into
I'm
support.
expecting a breakout. But if we get below the floor and we continue in this downward trending channel, then all bets are off. It's no longer, then because whenever you have well, here's another problem. We have a falling wedge coming down on support, but it's also hit resistance. So we're getting squeezed now. And so let's just look at the squeeze. Here's the squeeze. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to bring this all the way over to here and bring this channel down a little further to that point. To me, that is the new apex. We got to stay above this white line and get above this white line. Otherwise, we're going to probably wind. We're going to wind into. We could do this and come back down here and do this and wind into an apex until we finally break out. And the odds are it will be to the upside. But let's just say the odds are 80% it's going to the upside. There's still a 20% chance that it goes further down.
Down.
But if this happens, guys, then that's the first time in a year that we went below this floor and held below it. Because if I can zoom out here, you can see we've been holding this floor for a year. Since December of 2024, December of 2025 right here. And now we're in January and we're still above the floor. And the last time we came to the top, we hit the floor, hit the floor, hit the floor, hit the floor, and broke out and went back to the top. We come down to the floor, we hit the floor, hit the floor, hit the floor. I mean, to me, doesn't mean it has to do the same thing it did this last 2 times. But again, when I go back and look at the overall long-term structure, it tends to break to the upside so far every time. Now, here's the difference. Both of these times, it came all the way to this point and broke out. And so I take a line, this line, and this line means nothing until it comes over to here and breaks out. Once we get a new breakout, then I can take this line and touch that point where it broke out. Now we have 2 touch points on an upward trending support line. If I take that line and continue it up, we're not quite there yet. Maybe we're going to go sideways, or maybe we're going to break out to the upside, hit the top, and then come down again before hitting that floor, before finally breaking out to the upside. That's a possibility too, because I'm not ignoring the fact that we do have a long running upward trending support that both times in the past we came to first before breaking out. So it's possible we come all the way to this line for first before we go up. But I have a feeling that we're not going to dribble on the floor all the way over there. I think we're going to break out and come up here first, and then maybe come back down and hit it, and then maybe break out over here. Maybe even go all the way to the apex, which would be right here before finally breaking out. That's possible, or right here. But notice when it hit this line, it was at the bottom of the apex, not the top. When it hit this, when it broke out here, it was at the bottom, not the top. It did hit the top when it broke out. Boom. Retested a previous resistance level as support, and then broke out again. This one is the top. And here's very similar. Look at this. We had the top, and then we came to the bottom, and then we had a lower high, came to the bottom. And when we broke out, we went through this one to this one. And then we came back and retested this one. If we do that again now, we went to this one, and then we hit the floor, and we come out to this one. So right now, when we broke out, we went past this one to this one. And then we came back to this one to retest. Very similar, but the difference here is we hit this a couple times, few times we're hitting this one, this floor. Whereas this one, we only hit it once. Right here. We came down and bam. Well, actually, we hit it 3 times. We hit it bam, 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 and then went up. I'm not saying the same thing has to happen, guys, but patterns tend to repeat sometimes, especially when we're in an upward trend and we have these apexes that keep breaking to the upside. So this just would be the latest one. And what if it breaks below this upward trend line? What if it can't get above this $3.60 range and it comes to this floor, comes to this line over here, and instead of breaking to the upside, it breaks to the downside? Well, that would be the first time that happened. So am I going to bet on a first, or I'm going to bet on the repeating pattern? I'm going to bet on the repeating pattern, which is the old saying, the trend is your friend until the end, until the trend isn't your friend. I used to say it's kind of like if you had a good friend that picked you up every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern, because you have plans every Thursday with that friend. And every Thursday at 6 p.m., he pulls right up and honks the horn, right at 6 p.m., right on the nose, every time. Well, why would you ever look at your watch and say, I bet this time he's not going to pull up at 6, even though he's always done it, but I don't think this time he's going to do it. No, you're going to bet on the fact. If someone says, how reliable is your friend? Are you sure he's going to be here at 6? You're going to say, yeah, he's always at 6. Always, 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 always. I will bet he pulls up at 6. You could be wrong someday. He could have an accident on the way. He could get a ticket on the way and not show up on time. But the odds are he's going to do exactly what he says because he does what he says he's going to do. And so this is the same thing as a trend, is that generally speaking, it's going to do what it's been doing until one day it doesn't. And so I'm going to bet on the fact that it's going to until it doesn't. But so this could look like this. It could be something like this where this is just like this all the way over to the floor. Well, we already have that line right there, but let's just say this whole thing. Let's take it over to here. Let me change the color of that. Let's just say this whole thing is like the wedge and it's coming down to this point. And the floor here is the other side of that apex, very similar to this one. I'll change the colors on all these so it looks the same, so you can see it. So we have this winding into the edge, and then it breaks out. This one winding into the edge until it breaks out. That could be the case. Again, very similar. I have these lines horizontal, but it could be the bottom of this, rising up to this, And let me just change this color, then it will really make sense because it looks
which going by the, your car example, picking up a friend, the likelihood is it's going to continue to coil up into the apex, really.
that's what it looks like it's doing to me, and it's staying true to its nature of doing that for several times over, and so I'm going to bet that that's what it's going to do until it proves me wrong. I'm telling you guys right now, I could be wrong. It could prove me wrong, but right now, what do I have to go by? I have this example to go by and this example to go by, and both times it got to a higher high, created another apex, got to a higher high, created another apex, and then you take into account all the things that's going on around the world, the Clarity Act, everything that XRP and Ripple's been building up towards this whole time, getting cleared from the SEC, winning all their lawsuits, having 11 contracts with 11,000 banks. Is it possible that the price is going to dump or go up? I mean, what's more likely? I think with supply issues and demand and just all of the new information out right now and all the catalysts that are positive for it, I think that it's more likely to make a new high and continue in this upward trend.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm betting.
So if you stay on this page, or just understanding your averaging in, I'd like to go back briefly just to what you were describing way earlier.
And by the way, just before you finish that thought, everybody else who's on here listening, are you learning anything from these questions? Because you guys, everybody here is welcome to jump on and ask questions. I want you to think one person is dominating the question and answer section, but I think that he's got great questions. And I think it's a good learning experience for everybody to hear, because some people don't know what questions to ask, especially if you're new. And so go ahead. I appreciate the question.
And I try to ask my questions to where they help everybody as well,
Exactly.
because it really gets down to the core of how to actually trade, and that's pertaining to each person, and it's different. So you were talking about dollar cost averaging in. If someone were to enter in right now.
By the way, you see what just happened?
Yeah, look at that.
We were right here when you were asking if you should get in right now, and it did break to the upside. And I am up now about $300 or 145 XRP on this. So, my little risk that I take sometimes, always pay off. Now, should I move my stop loss up into profit is the question. Now, this is a long wick up. It's a lot of volatility happening right now. This happened very fast. And what did it do? It went right up to this previous high. So is that just going to be a double top? Is that the top of this? Yeah, it could be. It might have just wicked back up and double top that. Or is this the time we're about to break out because we bounced on the center line? Like I was saying, that usually happens first before breakout. So this could be, that's why I take the risk that I do. And my stop loss, I will move just because that happened, because this could be a double top and it could come back down. I will move my stop loss just to inside the break-even mark. I don't put it right on my entry. I put it a little bit above that way, because with fees and everything, I'm going to lose $3 or 3 XRP, which is $6.30 once this trade closes at break even. So I'd rather break even at 0 rather than lose $3. But that doesn't even have to do with the money. It has to do with I like to just not lose. Even if I don't win, I'd rather not lose. But yeah, so look at that. I mean, it came right up and hit that right on the nose. So go ahead with your question. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that was happening while we were talking.
So just backing up, just pretending that this didn't happen, and we were at that place where we said it was still a good entry. Right about there in the middle. And then if it came down, you dollar cost average in. Let's just say you had 2,000 cars on. You would double that. The first time down, that would be 2,000 cars. And then I had asked you previously, would you double again at the last time down?
I would probably wait to see if it bounces first and starts to make a higher high, because it would look like this if it fell here. Let's just say it fell here and then came down lower and then started to come up. I would have probably entered double. Like I said, I would have doubled my contracts here. But let's say it started to come up and it only went to here and started to come back down. Then I would probably wait for it to get back in profit, because then it would look to me like we're having lower highs. And so we have lower highs, then it could be more downside coming. So I would probably wait on this one. If it dropped all the way to the floor, would I add more or double it again? The answer is probably no. What I would do is wait for it to come down and then get back above this first, because once it gets back above that, then hopefully hold a support, then it starts to get back up to this level, and it's no longer a lower high anymore. It's a higher high, or at least the lower high downward trend is over, and that's a breakout. So then I would probably add then. I wouldn't do it again down here probably. I would wait for it to come back up first. I would have too much at risk at that point.
You'd add on that floor there where it broke out.
I mean, that would be a great entry if I didn't already have so many contracts added up here, right?
Yeah.
Now I want to come back and take my negative away a little bit first before I enter more and just make sure that it's doing. But this is positive right here. And now if it does break through, then we are looking at something, a possible good entry for those of you who didn't do what I just did. But yeah, I mean, if it does start to come back down, I'll play it by ear. I mean, right now I would get taken out in profit. So I would then. So if this just fell really quickly, by the way, notice what I just did here while we were talking. I took this line, and even though I'm on the lower time frame on the 10-minute, this is an upward trending support. You can see it right there clearly, right? It's upward trending, it's upward trending, it's upward trending. Then we pop up. So I would just continue that line. And I would say that if it falls below this white line now, then this upward trend is over. If it can't get through this yellow and it falls below this white, and by the way, this is scalping, guys. This is not like long-term trades. If I'm in a long-term trade, then I don't care about all this. I'm waiting for it to do its thing over a period of days or weeks. But on this little scalp right here, if it winds into this apex, it can't break through this yellow, and it falls back below this white line, then this little upward trend is over, and it's probably going to come back down and retest here. Maybe it'll wind into a new apex. It'll hold this little apex here. But if it falls below that, then that's over too. So these are just all these little. It's like Russian dolls, guys. There's so many inside each other. These are different fragments of it, but especially on the lower time frames. But as you'll notice, when it hits this as support and breaks through and holds it as resistance, falls to the next level as support, comes back up and retests this one, it's obvious that there's a support and resistance thing going on here. So, and we wicked all the way down to the floor, came back up and held support on this one, wicked up and hit resistance on this one, breaks through and hits resistance on this one. It's obviously that I have my lines in the right spot because I'm not telling it where to stop. It's hitting my line. And my line is there for a reason because that is the downward trending resistance line going all the way back. And it's either going to break out or not. If it breaks out, great. That's what I wanted to do. I will continue to. If this breaks out, by the way, to the upside, it's starting to look pretty bullish right now. But if it breaks out and starts to climb higher than the breakout, I will grab my stop loss and I'll just move it a little bit more into profit. And I will continue to do that, but I will still keep it far enough away. So my philosophy there on moving the stop loss is whatever the next support level was. So I will move it up to under this one. And then once it holds this as support and starts to climb, I will eventually move it up under this one, but I wanted to see it get past the next one first. So if it gets back above the floor and holds that as support, then I will move my stop loss up to this one. Right? I will move it up under this one. And then if it holds support here and gets up to the next one, which would be somewhere up in here, let me just go back and look where the next support resistance level will be. It'll be somewhere up in here somewhere. It looks like we have support, resistance, resistance, somewhere up in here. If it gets through that and holds that as support, then I will move my stop loss up under this one. So I'm incrementally moving it based on the support and resistance levels that it's getting to and holding. That doesn't mean it can't fall through that and take me out, but at least if it does there, then I'll have a nice, multi-hundred or $1,000 profit at that. Right now I'm up $430 on this one. That's just since I entered this at the beginning of this call. I mean, and then scalping, guys, by the way, is you don't have to wait for it to continue to go. You can scalp, you can just close this trade out anytime you want, take the profit and wait for the next setup. If you want to make $500 a day, that's an easy $500 a day doing exactly what I just did. And $500 a day, I don't know about most of you, but that's not bad. Let's say you did that 3 weeks out of the month. That's 10 grand a month right there. You don't even have to do it every day. But
Nico, when you're watching the charts while scalping, are you always on the 10-minute time frame, or do you go down to the 1 minute, the 5 minute?
I go up to the dailies and the weeklies, as you saw me do, to zoom out and see what the overall big picture is. But when I enter positions on scalps, I usually just do it on the 10-minute. The 1 minute is too chaotic. it's not really giving you a lot of information. It's like I always give the analogy of sitting on the sidewalk looking at the ants walking around your feet. If you go to the 1 minute, that's like getting down on your knees and getting a microscope or getting a zoom lens or some kind of magnifying glass and really looking at the ants walking around. You can see them better, but you can't really see the big picture of where they're going when you're that close. So sometimes it's better to, I think the 10-minute is low enough and fast enough, because each one of these candles is 10 minutes. And it looks like it's trying. It's getting above that yellow line right now, guys. Is it going to hold above it? You can see right here we wicked above it a little bit. There's a couple times over here we got above it and fell back below. So I'm optimistic, but I'm always cautious because we can certainly wick above it and fall back below. It is a major resistance. So just keep that in mind. It's been resistance. This yellow line has been resistance since $2.42 up here, which was January 6th. So for almost 15 days or so, we've been staying below that line. Getting above it will be a break of this. That'll be nice.
Go, baby, go.
What's
Here
that?
she go. Here she goes.
Okay, it's starting to pop, but that doesn't mean we still got to wait and see because it still could wick back down. But yeah, the overall, and then we zoom out a little bit. Once it breaks that, then what? Let's say it breaks this yellow line and holds above it and starts to climb. That means this is over. This falling wedge is over, but we're still not out of the woods yet because we're still in this overall downward channel where this white line is the next resistance. And actually we're going to have, and that might happen. Oh, we still got the ceiling. We still got the floor of the, we still got the $2 range to get through. So we got a little ways to go, obviously, but breaking out of this downward trending wedge right here would be the first step. And then the next one after that is the $2 range at the red line. If we hold support above that, the next one is right here at 206. If we hold support above that, the next one is up here. And I would imagine that it's going to hit this white line at the same time that this resistance and support line converge here, somewhere over here. That would be this week sometime, anytime this week, maybe. But it would be up here at the 215, 216 range. If we can get out of that, guys, then we're off to the races.
Nico, can you go out to can you pull up your trading view of XRP that you can see back to that second to the last pump in 2017? That was the second part of my question. So you see that last pump, the one to the left of that, clear back in 2017, right there. Yep. So earlier you were talking about getting into a position, and you're going to be at the whatever size of a position that you're comfortable with. I would call it a full boat of if that's what you're comfortable with. And you would just keep moving your stop loss up and following this up, and not close that position out. Even as it gets into the range up above there from that pump and goes sideways for, man, that's a year or year and a half.
Yeah. So but you got to do. Yeah.
My question is, you got a full boat. Would you take some profit up at the very top there, and then let it pull back, and then still have your stop loss in, and then dollar cost average in again to go back to a full boat? Or because if you don't do that, you now can't trade anymore because you're just holding the position.
You're holding, yeah. Well, that's a great question, but it's also one of those crystal ball questions because in hindsight, everybody who doesn't take profit most of the time wishes they did. Everybody who doesn't close the trade out when the greed kicks in and they want to stay in and add contracts wishes they didn't. So it's kind of like one of those situations that, I always say, and it wasn't me that made this up, is that you can never go broke taking profit. So let's just say I got in here because we were winding into this apex and I was expecting to break out to the upside. So I put my stop loss here where this red line is, and it did this, and it went all the way up to here, and it comes back and holds support here. Once it breaks above this and comes all the way up to here, I would take this stop loss and I would move it to here, underneath the first support level. Once it gets up to here and bounces and then breaks this resistance and gets above that, I would move it probably to the next level, not all the way up here. But so I'm kind of safeguarding myself. And then once I see it's holding support, now this didn't happen yet. So I'm looking at this right now going, maybe this is the floor. So this is the floor now, and it's probably going to stay above that. I might move my stop loss to here. But look what happened. That would have been safe because it did break this upward trending support and it wicked right down to this floor. So I would have stayed safe if I would have stayed in. So this is being very cautious. But most people will move their stop loss right up to here, and then it comes back and takes them out. So you got to keep your stop loss away if you want to stay in the trade. Now but however, let's just say that this happened and it went up to here. If I would close out the trade here, I would make good profit from here to here. It would be huge.
Yeah.
If I don't, and I just move my stop loss and I wait, I'm waiting, like you said,
a long time
for it to get back above this level where I could have taken profit here. I could have also went long here. I could have went short here. I could have, I could have done a lot during this time, or I could just go trade something else, or I could just hold hoping for that long. Now here's the way around that. So maybe you have 2 or 3 sub accounts. So let's just go back over here to Phemex. You come up here and you go down here to sub accounts. As you can see over here, I got main account, Nico Merc 1, Nico Merc 3. That's 3 total accounts. I have 3 sub accounts, 2 sub accounts in addition to my main account. So if I want to do a long-term trade like that and just stay in it and let it ride and go ahead and handle the ups and downs and not worry about it, I will do that in a separate account, separate from my scalping account. And just allocate a certain amount of money to doing that and figure out how much your risk tolerance is. And you just understand that you might be in it for a while. And then you're going to have a safety net there too, because you're going to have a stop loss, but it's going to be kind of far away at the moment. And then you're going to eventually move that into profit. But over in your scalping account, you could be doing this in and out stuff all the time. And then as you make profit on your scalping account, you can move some XRP over to your longer term account or to your hodling account, your cold storage wallet, whatever, or you could just leave it in Phemex. But I look at Phemex as just like another wallet, but I don't just accumulate and leave it in Phemex. I do take it out of there too every once in a while. But that's your option, I guess. It's a great question. It's hard for me to answer. It just depends on your patience and tolerance level and whether you're trading for income or whether you're long-term and you're just trying to accumulate more crypto. A lot of people are at different levels. I don't take any income from Phemex. I mean, I don't pay myself every day or every week. I'm trading to accumulate more crypto. I have real estate and some passive income and some other things. And obviously we teach, Crypto Renegades in full transparency. Obviously we do make some money showing you guys how to do this stuff. I pay my bills from my businesses and my investments. But when it comes to trading, I'm specifically trading to accumulate more crypto. I'm trading on a coin margin.
Yeah, that's my same approach. I'm trading to build it over the the next 10 years.
Yeah, and so that's why I trade on a coin margin. Like I love the idea down here. When I see 272 XRP, I'm up $539. I don't even really care about the dollars. I'm looking at the XRP here because I'm looking at every one of these XRP as a potential $1,000 XRP, each one. So 273 XRP right now could be worth $273,000 to me if XRP gets to $1,000. And I believe it will someday. Maybe it's 10 years from now. I don't know. But hopefully not. Maybe it's 2 years. Maybe it's the end of this year. I don't know. But I'm going to just pretend that that's 270 grand that I got sitting here. And do I want to lose it? No. So that's why I moved my stop loss to break even or profit, because even if this goes down and gets me back down to 5 XRP before it takes me out, I'm not going to lose the XRP that I'm risking, this margin right here, this 784 that I have at risk. I want to protect that as much as possible. Now, I could close this trade out right now and add 260 XRP to my little margin right here, and that will incrementally grow and grow and grow as my account grows. Or I can take a bigger risk and hope that this is the time that because nothing's more exciting than being in a longer position that really got away from everybody. And it's like everybody wishes that they had your entry. So I'm doing this for a couple selfish reasons. One, I want to accumulate more XRP. If I didn't have a business where I was trading and I wanted to have a great screenshot for everybody, I might just close these trades out and scalp and just keep accumulating in my spare, without anybody even knowing. I would have nothing to show off, right? There would be no reason. But of course, I am doing that. I am accumulating at other places and other areas, hodling accounts and stuff in cold storage. But I also do want that holy cow, 3,000% gain where I can show that I made, 10,000 XRP on that one trade. And it's just a matter of time because I did that already. Those of you who've been in this group long enough know I did go long on XRP back here when we broke out of 50 cents. And I did make 1,500% gain on this move right here. We went from, I was long at 49 cents and I closed the trade out at like $1.80 or something like that. And we have the screenshot. We use it in our webinars, but that was a 1,500% move to the upside. And I was at 20x leverage at the time. It added a huge amount to my portfolio. And we never came back down. I wish I would have stayed in it. I wish I would have stayed in that trade. That would have been a killer entry, but I would have been waiting for, 2 years. But yeah, I mean, I was long here at 49 cents at one point. In fact, let me go. I don't think you can see that on my. I don't think you can see it on my no, it doesn't go back far enough on my next second. I do have a screenshot of it somewhere. I don't know where it's at right now, but it's in our webinar deck. But it's yeah, it's fun when that happens. So right now, it does seem to be holding. Let me just go look again on the lower time frames. Oh, it is pumping. Let me just show that real quick again. It did get above that line.
Jeez. And can you briefly cover when you're using 7x leverage, but then when you add contracts that changes your margin, I believe.
If I were to double my contracts right now, it would cut my margin in. So I would have to then add double my contracts back.
So sorry, say that again. If you doubled
if I double my leverage from 7x to 14x right now, my margin would drop from 784 to half of that.
Right.
To about 380 or something. And then so I would have to come and add that 300 more 300 more XRP back as contracts.
You'd have to double it again, basically.
Yeah.
To get it back. Okay.
Yep. Now, guys, this could just be a wick up and it could fall right back below that line. So what we want is to hold. And I would say it needs to hold right above this wick right here. Let's just take a line and draw that over. That would be the previous resistance. It might hit that and wick down to the yellow line, or it might not. It could just run away. I mean, sometimes that happens where it doesn't come back and retest. It just depends on what's going on and what's causing this pump, Like when you go back and look on the examples I was just giving you back here, like sometimes it does, once it breaks out, sometimes it doesn't come back. But we're not looking at the overall breakout yet here, I don't think, because that has to get above that white line. But it would be an example of like this, for instance, where we're in a downward trending channel and it breaks out and it comes back and retests. And then it even came back and retested again before finally climbing out. we're still not broken out of the overall downward trending channel yet. We just broke out of that little one that I had on the lower time frame. All right, guys, it's almost 3 o'clock. I've been on for 3 hours. I'm losing my voice, but oh, there it goes. Looks like it's coming back right now to retest. That's just what I said. And it wicked down to the yellow line. Oh, it might even be. Oh, that was a big wick. Is it? Oh, look at the volatility there on the 10-minute, guys. Look at that. What is going on? Now, if I wasn't in any trade right now, I'd probably enter right now long and just put a stop loss right under this line. Because if you're wrong, then you want to get taken out quick. Because this could mean that it comes all the way back down to the bottom. But if you're right and it holds here, it starts to climb. And it looks like that's a long wick down. It's still trying to figure it out. I will go to the 5-minute just to show you, because that way we don't have to wait 10 whole minutes for that candle to figure out what it's doing. I was up about $600 here. It almost hit $2. It went up to $1.98.
Psychologically, do you trade somewhat by feel here now that this candle's forming, or do you there's a lot of traders will wait for this candle to close and then make a decision?
I mean, if it can't hold above this line, then it's still in that downward trending falling wedge. So unfortunately, yeah, I mean, it's exciting that it's broke through and it's trying to get out. Now, the reason why I think that this time might be the time that it does is only because it bounced on the center line in the overall downward trending channel. And a lot of times it does that before it breaks out. Most of the time. I wouldn't say all the time, but most of the time. But it does look like it is holding. I mean, you see that wick getting smaller, longer. And that means the price is coming back up. It wicked all the way down to retest, and it's sucking it back up right now. So the bulls are beating the bears right now on this. Or we'll see, maybe not.
What would be confirmation for you when the
candle turned green or the next candle turned green?
On the 5-minute. What I was asking is on the 5-minute or the 10-minute chart?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the 5-minute just to see the volatility, but I would say if that candle turns green or the next candle turns green, then it probably will be. It'll still be this candle that turns green, but
obviously, if you wait for the 30-minute, it for sure will get too far away from you to take the trade again.
It looks like it's getting ready to turn green right now, but all it's got to do is get above this $1.97. We'll see. I mean, we do have a little bit of a lower wick here.
Nico, it seems to be following Bitcoin.
Bitcoin's pumping. Let's go look.
Well, it hit the top on my end anyway, on my trend.
Bitcoin did pump from this bottom drop here all the way back up, but yes. So what do we got here? We got a bit of a double top, and if we just go back a little bit, we'll just draw the line. And why do I put it all the way to the left like this? Because I want to see what is the reason for this. And then we just take it over, and we can see we do have a lot of. There was some resistance back here. Resistance. Let's just go all the way back. Screw it. Let's see. Resistance. Oh, look at those.
I got multiple ceilings all the way across.
Yeah, lots of ceilings, lots of resistance here, but it does finally break through. But when it broke through, it held support, wick below, support, and then climbed up higher. Came all the way down to it, hit it, support here, broke through to the bottom of the overall upward trending support line, and now it's hitting that as resistance again. So it needs to get through that, guys, because if it comes below that yellow line, that's not good for Bitcoin. That is this line. That is this upward trending support line, which goes way back. Yeah, it needs to get above. It needs to hold above that yellow line and get back above.
Well, Nico, just a little while ago, I don't really watch CNBC, but I happened to put it on, and Kathy Woods came on. They were asking about valuations going forward for the year. So she gave a positive outlook. And then she talked about Bitcoin and 4-year cycles and how institutions were coming in and they were managing that. And so it was pretty positive what you said. So it kind of correlated within the next hour as it assimilated into the institutions that Bitcoin started pumping and everything else.
Yeah, she's been very bullish on Bitcoin for a while now. She's got a lot of money at stake. She's like a Michael Saylor to the point where, I mean, she runs a hedge fund and they got billions of dollars in it. They want everybody to buy. They want it to go up. They will never say anything negative about it. They're going to talk about the long term, but she's got too much money wrapped up in it.
Yeah, well, you know how the sound
She's
bites off of
smart, but
Trump
she's
to
not
tell
always right.
people. Yeah, I mean, but like anything else, little things that move the market for.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. This is upward trending support, and this whole giant bear flag, which I could call this a bear flag, guys, if you want to look at it this way, is bear flag. We're in it right now. If it breaks below, what do bear flags normally do? They normally break to the downside, but not when they're up against major support. So this could be the time that we finally break to the upside.
And even though it's a bear flag, this is where you buy, when it pulls back to the bottom of the flag.
The bottom of the flag, correct. I mean, obviously, it's more likely to break through the bottom of the flag when it's near the bottom of the flag, but at the same time, this flag is up against major support, and bear flags break to the downside 70% of the time, except for that other 30% is usually when it's up against support. So it's possible that it does not, and it bounces right back up to the top of the flag, like you were just saying. But also, it's probably more likely to retest this resistance level as well. This is a major support resistance level up here, this whole zone right there at 100K, 98 to 100K, and we hit it here. It's probably going to hit that again. Even if it does break to the downside, it probably hit that again first. And I think that would also, if it can't get above this whole zone right here, guys, that would be the easy right shoulder of the head and shoulder of the overall head and shoulder going into a bear market, if that happens. And if we can get above this and hold above 105 and get above this zoned out area right here, then we have a chance at a new all-time high. But a lot would have to change. The bearish divergence on the RSI, all of that would have to flip. And I can look at that real quick just to see what's going on. You have on the lower time frames, you do got obviously a nice green. We had a green dot down here at the bottom of Bitcoin on the market cipher, and the money flow is flowing out and going up, which is bullish, but it could turn. Now that it's at the top here, it could turn, but we got to wait and see. Let me get rid of this down here and put the RSI on and see. This is important, guys, because this has to happen. The RSI on the weekly on Bitcoin needs to flip in order for us to make new high. It's just right now it's lower. It's bearish divergence still. I mean, it is coming up from the floor. You can see here's the floor. It is trying to break through the floor. We hit, that's not good. We hit the floor. It looks like we were breaking through the other day. Let me just make this thinner so you can see it. We wicked through it, and we're coming down to retest the moving average, which is the yellow line. A lot of times when we get through that happens. See, we get through it and it retests sometimes. The last time we were doing this, what we're doing right now, was right here, where we had bearish divergence again in the last bull market, where we came up above the floor and we popped all the way up to the downward trending channel. That was right here in the last bull market, where it's doing the exact same thing it's doing right now. See this wedge? It's this wedge. Remember, I was concerned that it was getting below that line. It wicked down below it, but it looks like it's pulled back up into this wedge. It needs to get above that. It needs to get above the 94K zone. This needs to break above. It looks like it's holding right now above. Let me just make sure this is in the right spot. Looks like it's holding above it right now. and above the moving average. So it needs to come up, but this would need to get above this red line and really make a new high for us to really see a new high on the price. But we certainly could get up to 100 or 105. Even if this is the beginning of the bear market, that could just be the final rally, kind of like back here. We're here, we rallied up to here before finally dropping. And we're right here, banging our heads on the ceiling. We could pump. We could pump. All right, guys, I got to run. It's 3 o'clock. Any other last minute questions? Well, I mean, it sucks to end the call right when things are starting to move, but at the same time, let me go back and look real quick. Go down to the lower time frame. Looks like we might be bouncing here. So far, I mean,
thank you, Nico. The market reversed about 2 hours ago, and so did everything else.
yeah, look at this, guys. We do have a potential cup and handle. I mean, this is a lower time frame, but this is a cup forming on the 10-minute on the lower time frames. If I go to the hour, it's not going to look. Maybe it will. It could be. Maybe the 30-minute. If this is a cup and we have a little handle here, we could see a pump. Back up, right up to where we were talking about that we need to get through, which is the 94, 95, which we were just at over here, holding. It's probably, let me put this in the right spot. Where we hit resistance, we dropped through and we came up and hit it before dropping. This was just, and by the way, we got what looked like a big W happening too before this big drop. Then it turned into an M. That's not good. But then we had this. There's just too much volatility, guys. You can't even call it. Can't even call any of these patterns anymore. But this could be a nice cup forming, which is positive. I'm sticking to my XRP trade right now. Bitcoin is a catalyst, but XRP is kind of, it looks like it's trying to hold above that line. I mean, it did have that long wick. It did open another candle and it's red right now, but it could just be a double bottom. We'll see. It's too soon to tell. It's not good. These are weaker candles here. They're getting, getting lower and lower, but let me just scroll up to the last time that happened and see what that looked like.
Nico, while you're doing that, when do you find the best time that you're watching the markets? I mean, obviously, a lot of things happen overnight and at random times, but then stuff's happening right now during the New York and the New York stock exchange times.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always watching. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I look at it first thing, I make coffee, then I zoom out a little bit on my laptop upstairs and I go over all the time frames. I give you guys updates. And then periodically throughout the day, no matter what I'm doing, I'm checking here and there. I'm looking at my phone. If I have a stop, look at that big wick down. If I would have moved my stop loss right up under this support, it would have just been taken out. I would have made, $500, but mine's down here. Do I really want to let it come all the way back down to it right now? Or do I want to, if I think this is going to drop back down into this channel, should I just close this trade out is the question. That wick though, looks like that could have just been let's just take everybody's lunch money and then go up and do what everybody thought we were going to do. It could be one of those, or it could be the beginning of coming back down. Look where it came right to. Also, it came to previous resistance and support. You just draw a line right to where it wicked, and you wonder why it stopped right there. It was resistance, 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 support, support, resistance. And it never, once it broke, I mean, it did break here, and then the next candle opened right there. but it didn't come and retest it yet, but there you go.
It probably also went through where a lot of people's stops are, so they
Yeah.
just cleaned the house.
This is why the people who, if you move your stop loss too close, I always say a tight stop loss, but I don't mean tight under the current price. I mean tight under your entry. And then once it goes into profit, I mean, I got plenty of room to move my stop loss up, but I also left room in case something like that happened. But now that that happened, I probably should move it to here, because if it decides it wants to fall, I'd rather make, $400 than nothing. And it looks like it might not be able to hold above that. And it could. I mean, this could just be very volatile. I don't know what's being said right now. I don't know what's going on around the world. I'm not watching any news. I'm not watching any speeches, but that was a very bullish pump to the upside.
And you said stop loss tight under your entry, and what you meant by that was move once you're 15% in profit, then you're moving to break even. But then from there, you let it expand wider.
Yeah, I mean, I want to just make sure I'm in profit or break even. That way I don't lose money on the trade. That's a no risk trade at that point. You're not risking anything. You're risking the potential profit you could have made if I just close this trade out now and make profit. If I keep my stop loss in profit down here and it comes all the way down and hits it, I don't make as much profit, but I also don't lose anything. So you got to just decide that you want to. But I will tell you this, guys. If I would just have taken profit every single time there's a big pump and I'm in profit like this, if I would just take it and wait for the next setup, I would probably have made a lot more money over the years. Be honest with you, instead of waiting for the big. Now, on the big moves that I didn't do it, where I actually waited and gave myself room, I did make a lot more money on the times I was right and it did shoot up afterwards. But those times are fewer than the amount of times I could have taken profit where it didn't do that. So if I were to add it all up, I probably would have made more just closing. If I would have closed this trade out up here, $600 or $700 profit, and just waited to see what happens, because if it would have bounced here and started to climb, I could have re-entered and just made more money. Again, you don't have to. I guess what I'm trying to do is just have a great entry for the big move, but that's kind of an ego thing. It has nothing to do with whether it's the smartest thing to do to make profit or not. So I will move my stop loss just because there's no reason to let it come all the way down. I think if it does come down back below this area right here, it could hit this upward trend and then bounce and then make a new high. It could do all that. And then I would have been taken out right here. So, but I'm also trading to demonstrate. So it's not all just about me making money on these trades, but I also, it's obviously for your guys' entertainment and learning. But it could hold right here, guys. This could be the time that it flies. I mean, it is strange that it hasn't. This wick keeps wicking down and wicking back up. But the fact that it broke through this back into the downward trending channel is a little concerning. And it is obvious that the line is in the right spot. We've had lots of support and resistance above this.
Well, we're going to know in about 1 minute.
Yeah.
So, Nico, can you just elaborate on teaching and decision making? If pretend you got stopped out right here where you're at now,
yeah,
what would you then be looking for to enter back in?
I would say from the time we wick down to the floor here of the floor of the downward trending channel, not the overall channel down here, but this yellow one, this falling wedge that we have.
Yeah.
Since then, we've been in an upward trend, and we haven't broken that upward trend yet. Now we made a higher high from here. We made a higher high, higher high, higher high, higher high. So if it comes down and touches this, if it were to come all the way down, straight down right now and hit this crux,
takes you out.
I'll get rid of this because I don't need that there, but it would hit this crux right here. It would have taken me out here, hit this and bounced and started to come back up again. I would know that this support is still active, but I would also want it to break back out of this, because I think what would happen is it would hit this, come back up and hit that, and maybe wind in. And so it could either break back down to the downside or upside. it's hard to tell right now. I would wait and see. I would just recalibrate. But really the big move is breaking out of this downward trending falling wedge. It may be trying to do that right now.
So what you were saying there is if you got stopped out, it would come back down, and if it bounced off there, it's staying bullish. You would wait for it to break out of that falling wedge and pull back and test, and then that's where you would put your new entry on after you just got stopped out.
Yeah, if it bounces here and starts to climb back up, I might re-enter and just put a tight stop loss under this, because this is kind of important right now. Even though it's the lower time frame, it is an upward trending support from the bottom. It hit the bottom and came back up and held here. Climbed, went up higher, held here. So right now it is holding. It's not necessarily, let me just put this in the right spot. I think it needs to be there because we got resistance. We wicked above it, came back below, resistance, held above it, wicked down to support, went below it, that back down to retest this line, and now it's back above that yellow line holding. So it's possible that it could still hit this line, but maybe it won't hit it until over here somewhere. So it could do this where it comes up, hits that, and then comes over here and hits this line and still stays above that line. You know what I'm saying? Right now, it looks like it could be holding. So my little stop loss might be safe for now. We'll see. It's not a lot of buying pressure right now. Doesn't seem like. Not like it was here. But
Well, no matter how it plays out, it was a good entry.
Yeah, the entry, it's hard to get. I mean, I whenever you see a big wick like this, by the time it fills your order, it's wherever it is, and this one just happened to be right on that support line.
That happened so fast. Where did you hit market order or did you hit a limit price?
I'm always market.
And you're not worried about the slippage in that.
No, I like instant. I like to be instantly in.
Yeah, if you don't instantly get in, you end up chasing because you're trying to hit limit and then it goes past your limit and then you set a new limit and it just walks away from you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't worry about the small, like the little trying to time something, or I'll enter it if it hits my limit order and it could come very close to it and not trigger it. I'd rather just get in now, and because I'm not in it to make the difference between pennies and have that perfect entry, more for the bigger move. But it's kind of like driving 10 miles out of the way to save 10 cents on gas because the gas station 10 miles away has gas a little cheaper. I'd rather pay 10 cents more, 20 cents more per gallon if someone comes to my house and fills it up without me having to go anywhere. So it's not, to me, I'm not trying to save the little small change, but I know some people do that. My mother, for instance, she will drive out of the way to get cheaper gas. And I'm like, well, how many miles is it away? And she tells me, and I'm like, well, you burn. First of all, there's a couple things happening here. You're spending the difference in savings. You're probably burning in gas to get there. You're also putting more wear and tear on the car and your tires. You're also running the risk of an accident by exposing yourself to traffic. So you're taking a lot of risk to save 88 cents or whatever it is, $1.88, whatever the savings is on a full tank, 10 cents a gallon. So to me, it's not worth it. That's just me personally.
Plus more time to go further.
Exactly. All right, guys, I got to run. I've been on way longer than normal. I know.
Thanks for your help.
Times now, but yeah, you're welcome. Hopefully we can hold above this and continue to climb. And then, but if it does start to climb here, guys, and gets above this, just remember there is another resistance level right here at $2. So we hit it up here at 202 and then fell back below. We came down and retested. We broke through it here, retested, and then fell back below. But that was also the downward trending resistance line at that time. And now we're down here doing the similar thing. So maybe we can get back up and make a higher high here. Then that would pretty much mean that we're out of this falling wedge. That would be good. Like to see it. Not this one, not this overall falling channel, but this wedge right in here is what we're in. which is a falling wedge, which is bullish up against support inside the overall downward channel. So we just got to break out of this and get above this. And then ultimately we got to get above this line right here, which is going to be somewhere at the 210 range, 215, 210, depending on how long it takes to get to it. All right, guys, I will keep you posted. If I see any changes, if I get taken out, I'll let you know, but I am in profit right now. I moved my stop loss in the profit, but if I get taken out, if it comes back down, you'll know, because I think my stop loss right now is at $1.93, which is not far away from the current price. But I will then reevaluate, and I'll let you know when I re-enter, if I re-enter, and we'll also look at Bitcoin. But I'll keep you guys in the loop in the Signal channel. If you have any questions, just ask in the main chat. Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, everybody, for the thanks and the blessings. Everyone
Have a great day.
You too, guys. Have a great rest of your afternoon.